waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A landmark rule in California is blocked. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump just signing resolutions passed by Congress aimed at stopping the California push to phase out gas-powered cars. He says it will save the auto industry.
Lower prices, better cars, and choice. Sense. You can say choice. We have choice for education, and you have choice for cars now, right? Common sense is right.
The resolutions also revoke EPA waivers that allowed the state to impose stricter emissions rules than the national standards. Several other states have followed their lead. California is expected to challenge the rollback in court. The president keeps defending a military response to violent protests over immigration raids in L.A.
If we didn't go, Los Angeles right now would be on fire. It would be a disaster. And we stopped it.
The L.A. mayor says sending the National Guard and Marines has fueled unrest. 3 Democrat governors are on the Capitol Hill grill at a House hearing on sanctuary states.
Illinois follows the law, but let me be clear. We expect the federal government to follow the law, too. We will not participate in abuses of power.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik.
You are shielding illegals. Even in your opening statement, you prioritize putting illegals first.
After the New York governor said the state has handed over hundreds of convicted criminals to ICE, but won't help with civil immigration enforcement. A mistrial declared on one count at the Harvey Weinstein retrial in New York.
The decision by the judge to end jury deliberations in Harvey Weinstein's sex crimes retrial came after the juror chosen as foreperson said he would not go back into the jury room because he felt bullied by another member of the panel. On Wednesday, the group of 7 women and 5 men delivered a partial verdict, convicting Weinstein of one of the top charges and acquitting him of another. Those verdicts still stand. The remaining charge was a rape accusation dating back to 2013.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Things are pretty quiet and on the warm side going through our Thursday afternoon, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Let's top it out around 87, 88 degrees. Tonight, cloudy skies come bubbling back in. They're in place most of the night, 70. On Friday, scattered showers, a couple of non-severe thunderstorms, 84. Same story on Saturday. Sunday, partly sunny, a couple of spotty showers, and 85. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Have you ever had a wedding reception in your yard or scheduled a party, birthday party or whatever kind of party at your house, and during the party or a couple 3 hours before you notice your air conditioner is not working and it is the hottest day of the year? Or have you come home from a vacation and your house is baking? My experience has been that's when it will break. It just happens that way. So if that does happen to you, or again, you don't need to have a party or you don't need to be baked. But if your air conditioner breaks and you need to get the cold air back in your house, call me, Bart Inman. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois. That is 314-293-2600. Again, the easiest of numbers, 314-293-2600, or on the internet, bartinman.com. It's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Cash for Clunkers is back. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards a new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Cash in your old entry door too. It's Cash for Clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Convenient, free, in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Spring into a new home with amazing savings at TR Hughes. Hi, I'm Jason Hughes with TR Hughes Homes, and we are currently offering half off up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs on brand new to-be-built homes at select TR Hughes communities. That's right, half up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs. Visit trhughes.com for details.
The choice of a home builder is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
However, you really should visit trhughes.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, Beth. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Mr. President, for Americans that are coming to Washington on Saturday for the military parade,
it's going to be a great day.
What would you like folks to take away from that day? What would you hope that they would remember? And also, Mr.
President, our country is, and how strong our military is. We have the strongest military in the world. You know, it's very interesting. 3 weeks ago, it was the end of anniversary, end of World War II, and I called France and. Macron, who's a good man, I said, what are you doing? He goes, we're celebrating World War II, our victory. I said, your victory? Your victory. Tell me about that. And then I called somebody else, and I happened to speak to President Putin at the time. Now, in all fairness to him, he lost 51 million people, and he did fight. Russia fought. Sort of interesting, isn't it? He fought with us in World War II, and everybody hates him. And Germany and Japan, they're fine. You know, someday somebody will explain that, but I like Germany and Japan too. But Putin is a little confused by that, you know. He said, we lost 51 million people and we were your ally, and now everybody hates Russia and they love Germany and Japan. I said, let's explain that sometime, okay? But it's a strange world. But I will say this, look, I want them to go away saying how great our country is and how great our military is. And I was making all these calls. For some reason, I spoke to like 4 different places. Sir, are you celebrating? And I said, you know, we won World War II and World War I, right? We won them. And yet we're the only country that doesn't celebrate. Everybody's celebrating except us. And I said, we should celebrate too.
So the president's speaking today from the White House, and one of the questions that he was asked after the ceremony, the initial ceremony that he had, was about this military parade. The question on the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll today, if it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? The Army's 250th birthday is going to be acknowledged at this event, and we're going to have a military parade. I don't know what an American military parade looks like. I know what military parades look like, and they usually don't feel like fun. They're kind of scary looking.
Mm-hmm. That's the point, isn't it?
I don't know. It's
They
not what
look intimidating.
That's not what Trump is saying. No, that's not the point of what Donald Trump is saying the military parade is going to be this weekend.
It's supposed to be a celebration.
Yes. Which I would imagine that maybe some of these other dictatorial countries would also be like, we are celebrating. Scary.
Right.
That's, I mean, I don't know how this poll is going to shake out. And I've talked to some people in my life who specifically are in the Army, a few that are in the military, and been like, how do you feel about this? I'm getting mixed reviews.
Good to hear, because I'm actually a no on this poll.
Do we want to acknowledge, can you do all of the things that the president says he wants to do with this parade? Can you accomplish all of the celebrations without parading the military?
Yes. In fact, we do it all the time.
That's true.
So I don't really know why we need the parade. Also, I'm a little like some of the biggest weapons we have are not tanks. You know, tanks look really cool and they're intimidating. But what are you going to do? Like walk through with space lasers and stuff? Like I don't know if that stuff's going to be on display.
Elon Musk is out.
That's right. Yeah, he's not going to be there.
But you just said something. You said tanks are cool. So if young people who are coming of age in a tumultuous time in the world see this stuff, I mean, is it a recruiting tool? I'm not opposed to recruiting tools.
Yeah, if that's what it is. Look, I'm not saying that it's wrong to do it. I just don't really get the purpose. And if that is the purpose, and you go, oh, okay, that's all right then.
Real quick, I'm going to open the phones. And we'll probably do this again a little bit later in the show. But I'm interested in your thoughts. 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797. Call us and tell us, if it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? 314-241-9797. I think that the people on the left, and I'm like talking about the people who will daily remind you that they are on the left, would assume that 100% of our audience would be like, chest-beaten military parade all the way. Why aren't we doing this every day?
I'm really glad you asked this question. I didn't know that this was going to be the topic today. I always like to know what it's going to be ahead of time. Or I don't like to know because we can talk about it fresh. But I've been a little confused about this myself. So the poll being, if it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? And you saying you're not sure how it's going to turn out. I'm actually kind of glad to hear that because I felt like I was on the outside.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you follow your gut, and I am somebody who likes to, I want to lean into my intuition. I feel as though I have a good understanding of my life priorities. My moral foundation is built on the rock. And I feel like that gives me the opportunity to have that intuition of, if there's an ick factor, I need to explore the ick factor, especially if the ick factor is in conflict with, like, quote, what people say. And I'm sitting here looking at military parade going,
Well, is it for you? And maybe it's not, but for me, it's when I think of a military parade, I think of the Eastern Bloc of Europe and Russia and
China.
North Korea. And I think when I watch those, that it looks like overcompensating to me. Like you're really not
it's like
as
when
strong.
women see a guy driving with like an oversized truck with oversized tires.
Whoa!
I wouldn't call your truck that way. But I don't know. He got real sensitive.
Yeah, he did immediately. And so that means you've hit on
it's
something.
It's for me, not for you guys.
Yep.
But it is like that. It's the thing
That's
where
what they say.
Where you go, you know, I understand that you have a military and that it includes these things without seeing them. I understand that you have that.
Have an oversized truck with oversized tires.
It's got a lift kit and big tires.
Guys, we just started.
I'm not really 100% sure of what we're arguing about.
Yeah, me
so
neither.
I just threw that out there, and he got super defensive immediately.
Yes, he did.
Ryan's like, I drive a Prius. I don't know what the problem is.
I don't do that.
I'm a happy man.
But okay. I don't have a Prius. I don't think I've ever touched a Prius.
This is the opposite level of pride that you have for your vehicle that Brad has for his.
I have a Mazda 5.
You're not even owning it.
I have a car that looks like a van but isn't.
I stand corrected. Even better.
It seats 6.
Remember that time when that guy was like, I don't drive a Prius. I drive a Mazda 5.
It's almost a van.
You know, I was just looking at the chat here, and Dan
Are we
brings
still
up.
talking about trucks?
No, we're going to
Okay.
go back to the military stuff. Dan brings up kind of an interesting point. He said, "Aren't the Blue Angels pretty much the same thing as a military parade?"
Kinda.
In a demonstration.
No, it's not, because you're saying this is a cool display, but you're not showing everything you have.
Well, my question.
I doubt we're showing everything we have.
Well, I know.
But if you approach this military parade with the same manner that you do with the Blue Angels, it's just kind of showing off, show kids the cool stuff that you can do, show the people the cool stuff you can do, and you don't organize it like an Eastern Bloc military parade with soldiers goose-stepping, kicking their heads to the right and looking at dear leader.
When I flew with the Blue Angels, was it 2 summers ago or was it last summer? I guess it was last summer.
Last summer.
When I did that, you can go watch the whole video of the experience on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. I can't remember exactly what my pilot said, but while we were getting ready to take off and taxiing down the runway, I was asking him some questions. And I mean, you can talk to the people who fly with the Blue Angels, or probably just in the Air Force, in the Navy. They have a moment where they saw the Blue Angels and they're like, I want to do that. So in that essence, it is a recruiting mechanism. 314-241-9797 if you want to weigh in on whether or not we should have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military. Sherry, thank you for calling the Annie Fry Show. Your thoughts on the military parade?
Hey, Annie, I think it's a definite must. You know, we used to have a really strong military. I have 2 ex-Marine sons. You know, the few, the proud. I don't think too many military people were proud for the last 8 years. With male generals and dresses and them letting just anybody in. I think it's President Trump saying we're back, strong, we're going to be the America we used to be. And I think they're going to get more kids wanting to join.
Do you? I don't know if you've discussed this with your Marine sons. Do they want this?
Oh, yes. Yes.
All right, Sherry.
Definitely.
Thank you for calling, and thank you to your family, the whole family, for the sacrifice of signing up. We appreciate you and your sons.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah?
It's also possible that we see this parade, and I'm, kind of skeptical going in, and I watch this thing, and I walk away going, wow, that was inspiring.
Yeah.
That's very possible.
I'd never seen an air show before. I was in an air show before I saw an air show. And, I mean, when I watched the Raptor do what the Raptor does, is the Raptor the F-22?
Yes.
Okay.
The little arms?
Yes. And they are impressive with their teeth.
Now, as I understand
I wish you could have seen radio people, Ryan, do the little arms.
Now, if you move... They're not based on movement.
No, they are. They're not.
They're not.
This is not an important conversation. You guys are awful. But when you go, we're watching the Blue Angels last year in Chesterfield, and I'm there with my family. My son brought his best bud, who loves aviation, goes to aviation camp. And I'm watching them watch these planes do this stuff. And then the Blue Angels come out. It's kind of the final thing of the show. And I'm watching the Blue Angels like, oh, my gosh, that is so cool. And Jared's like, you did that. And I'm like, I did not. I had a version of that. And he's like, nope, that's what you did. And to see it, even having been a part of it, you can't believe your eyes. And then is it the Raptor one that can parallel park in the sky?
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy. It's unbelievable. I watched Maverick. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, it's great. I still haven't seen the original Top Gun, though.
Well, it's just the volleyball scene.
And I love volleyball. I still haven't seen it.
It's really ironic. I mean, it's really wild to watch the maneuvers of what we're capable of. And to the point of what we were saying before, this is what they're showing us. So, but I mean, can a tank do that? I don't know.
Can a plane be in a parade? Seems like the parade would be over real fast.
Sure, it could taxi.
Oh, yeah.
I think you just put it on something and tow it through.
Barry, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. Your thoughts on whether we should have a military parade in D.C.?
Well, yes, I think we should. Hi, Annie. Nice talking to you. I'm a Air Force veteran, Vietnam veteran, and I think right now that the country needs to show the strength of the country. I think the young people right now have not really taught the history we all grew up with and so forth, and how so many men and women sacrificed to have liberty and freedom. And I think this would be a great showing. And I don't think it's like the Eastern countries do.
Okay.
But we've probably never had one. And you know what? It's 250 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, yes, I think we ought to have it, and I'll be very proud.
Barry, thank you for your service. Thank you for calling us, but thank you for your service. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Annie. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. It's not just like a military parade. It is the 250th birthday of the Army.
It's a good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was reminded by the people I talked to who are in the Army is the one that really matters anyway. I won't tell my Army friends what my Marine friends said about specifically the Army. So, okay, let's get to a couple calls here real quick before we break. Tony, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. Your thoughts on the military parade in D.C.?
Thank you, Annie. Actually, I was on the Presidential Honor Guard my first half years. So I was stationed in D.C. We did full honor arrivals for dignitaries. We did several parades and funerals. And I specifically was on the silent drill team, which is a unit that has an choreographed display with M1 rifles and no verbal commands for it, and it's about a 12. But we had traveled the country doing parades, East and West Coast. We went to Cuba, to all military installations, and also did like halftime shows at football games. And
do you think something like a military parade that's like a national spectacle would have a lot of positivity to it?
Absolutely, because the turnout at our parades, at different cities, we were always positive. We always stay after and shake hands and show people the weapons. And the turnout is amazing. It helps recruiting in every locality that we go to. And we only had one negative experience, and that was in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Go figure. But
so you're for it, Terry. You think it would be a positive thing?
Absolutely. I mean, the negative sayers will always be out there because Trump's behind it and putting it in motion. But it's 250 years of all the branches have a birthday this year, not just the Army. Yeah. And I know what your Marine friends say about that, Army.
We love every single one of them here.
Absolutely.
Tony, thank you.
We're all brothers in arms.
Amen to that. Thank you so much for the phone call and for your opinion on this. I love to get the perspective of people who have something invested more than the folks like us who are indebted forever for the sacrifice of individuals like these folks who are calling us, but who also have served, and this is an acknowledgement of their service as much as anything else. One more call before we break here. Terry, thank you for calling the Annie Fry Show. If it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military?
I think the only reason anybody's even wondering if this is a good thing or not is because Trump is president. I think I think that everything's viewed now through the lens of Trump derangement syndrome. So, of course, it's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. I mean, it's in June, and heretofore we've been celebrating other things in June, and it's nice. It's great to see them celebrate our military. I think it's an excellent recruiting tool. I love hearing all these people from the military calling in and the things that they're saying, and I think it's just the pendulum swinging back the other way.
Yeah.
And just a reset and restoring just our pride. I don't know if you watched the 4th of July celebration that Trump did at Mount Rushmore.
Yes, I did.
That thing was very moving, and it was amazing. And I just think it's a good thing to stir those feelings in the hearts of this nation. I just think that's a really positive thing. And we've wasted a lot of money on other things. You know that now. So
why not this?
Why not this?
I love it, Terry.
It's a great idea.
Thank you. I think you make some really great points, Terry. Thank you for your phone call. The fact that it's Donald Trump who's doing this does make a huge tint to the way that we're consuming it, because everybody's saying you're having a no kings protest across the country, which alludes to the fact they're talking about Donald Trump. Because why? Because they're obsessed with him. All they think about is Donald Trump. It's the only thing in their lives that matters. It's the only thing that matters to these people is Donald Trump. if it weren't Donald Trump, if Joe Biden had been like, hey, let's celebrate the military, they'd be like, woohoo!
Yay,
yeah, let's
yay,
do it.
parade.
Yes, exactly. It could be the exact same thing, and they would love it. I think that Terry makes a great point. Quick break. When we come back. Hans von Spakovsky is going to be with us. There's so much going on in the legal world. We're going to talk to him about a few different things. Specifically, what is going on with the Maryland father that is coming back, not to Maryland, but to Tennessee? Why? And is this an admission that the Trump administration made a mistake by deporting him and putting him in that El Salvadoran prison? What is up next for Abrego Garcia? Hans von Spakovsky next. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the home of the Bagel Loan. And why is the Bagel Loan so special for you and for your mortgage? Well, the Bagel Loan is a way for you to get a new mortgage, way for you to get a mortgage refinance, and pay $0 to do it. No closing costs when it comes to getting the Bagel Loan, which is the way you get your mortgage with Stewart's American Mortgage. I can speak as a customer myself. Twice over, I have done a refinance with Stewie, one time to dramatically lower our interest rate. And then the second time, we had the opportunity to lower it even more. And we took some money out of the equity of our home and used it to build a deck on the back of our house that didn't sway back and forth when we walked on it. It was a necessity. If you're interested in getting a new mortgage, all you got to do is call or text Stewie, my friend, person I have done business with multiple times. I'm talking to him again about a possible money move. Once again, I trust Stewie. You can as well. 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
Hold up a sec. If I work today, why should I have to wait 2 weeks to get my money? With Earnin, you can access your pay as you work instead of waiting days and weeks for a paycheck. Get up to $150 a day with a max of $750 between paydays. No interest, no credit checks, and no mandatory fees. Because, hey, it's your money. Download the Earnin app now to get it and join millions of people making any day payday. That's EARNIN. Earnin is not a bank. Access limits are based on your earnings and risk factors available in select states. Expedited transfer is available for a fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Visit earnin.com for full details.
If it's time for new windows, there's only one place to call. That is Window World. Mark Cox here. Call my friends at Window World at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate today. If you have any questions, they'll be glad to send someone out to explain all of it to you. You can even schedule right online at windowworldstl.com. You know, there's a lot of high-interest financing out there, but here's what Window World's doing. Right now, they're offering 18 up to 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. You can't beat that. You also get a lifetime warranty that covers all of the parts, the glass breakage, and labor. Who else stands behind their product like that? Over half the appointments Window World will set this year are from previous customers or referrals from those customers. That is a testimony to their customer service, their quality, and their commitment to creating loyal customers. That's what you get with Window World. Call them at 314-993-1800, windowworldstl.com.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-355-8282. That's 800-355-8282. Again, that's 800-355-8282.
Hey guys, it's Mark Reardon. If you're struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more in all of a relaxed man cave environment. At Game Day, you'll get a free testosterone test and consultation, all in just 1 hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back in the game with Game Day Men's Health.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show, live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save now with Carrier Cool Cash rebates up to $1,700 on a new AC or HVAC system. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Everybody, yeah. Rock your body, yeah. Everybody, yeah. Rock your body right. Backstreet's back, all right.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
There were 11 million illegal border crossings during the Biden administration. Tonight, President Trump is ramping up his mass deportation plan.
Nobody can understand why they allowed people to come into our country totally unvetted, unchecked.
The Department of Homeland Security saying in L.A. this week, ICE agents arrested undocumented immigrants with convictions for murder, child molestation, domestic violence, and other serious felonies. A new poll finding a majority of Americans, 54%, approve of the president's deportation program.
We the people of the United States,
More perfect.
are a form of our perfect union.
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Well, Hans, good to be back with you. So many things happening right now in the legal world. We couldn't wait to talk to you. Hans, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me back, and welcome back to you. I heard you had quite a nice vacation.
Yes, got to go celebrate some time with my family, my parents, my brother's family. And then I came back to a lot of the revolving door of what has been happening. But there's always these progressive movements. One day I will understand the appellate courts and all of this. I always say that the appellate court is like the foul ball of baseball. It's the bottom of the ninth. The count is 3-2. The next pitch is going to decide the game. Oh, foul ball. We got to do it all over again. So talk to me about right now your assessment specifically of some of the wins that we've seen Donald Trump have regarding his immigration efforts in the court system. Do you feel like if he would have known when he started putting these things into place that in the middle of June he would have won the court cases that he won, maybe seen some of the obstacles happen? Do you think he'd be happy with where he is right now in June?
No, I don't think he'd be happy because even though he's had some significant wins, the Justice Department is in the biggest fight it has ever had against rogue federal judges interfering with and trying to stop the reforms and policies that 77 million Americans put him into office. Now, it seems, folks will think, oh, my God, he's lost every case because of these nationwide injunctions, but he hasn't. In the immigration area, for example, he had lower courts telling him that he couldn't end the temporary protected status of Venezuelans who were allowed to remain in the country legally by Joe Biden. And the Supreme Court issued an emergency saying, no, you can end their legal status and you can basically get them out of the country. Same thing, the Biden administration issued mass parole to 500,000 illegal aliens from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and elsewhere. He ended that. Trump ended that mass parole and said, you're now illegally in the country. A lower court said, oh, you can't do that. Supreme Court issued again an emergency stay saying, no, you can end that. So, yeah, those are significant wins. Now, there are other problems in other cases, but that's just two of the significant wins he's had in the Supreme Court.
Well, I want to shift over to that name that we're all getting much more familiar with, Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia. You have an article in the Daily Signal about this. It's ironic to me that the Maryland father is coming back to the United States in Nashville, Tennessee. What is that about?
Well, Nashville, Tennessee is where he was stopped by state troopers back in 2022 when he was clearly transporting illegal aliens. And that was just one of 100 such trips that he made transporting illegal aliens, guns, and narcotics from Houston, Texas, to Maryland and to other places, according to a federal grand jury indictment that was just handed down. That all these defenders of him, they might want to read this indictment. He not only is part of MS-13, he was part of their, like I said, alien guns and narcotic smuggling ring for at least a decade. And some of the details about this, remember, for example, his wife, who's been wanting him back, but who previously accused him of domestic abuse. Well, according to one of the other conspirators, the grand jury had testimony saying that Garcia had to be cautioned after he was found to be abusing female illegal aliens they were transporting. Why did they caution him? Well, not because of humanitarian reasons, but because it would be bad for business.
Man, Hans von Spakovsky with us right now. I think that we understand that we have had a massive importation of immigrants into this country. They were coming into the country, but Joe Biden kicked the door wide open and literally said, I believe it was in a presidential primary debate, like, come here. We'll take you. And they did. They came en masse. We have millions and millions of people here. They are not all Kilmar Abrego Garcias, but there are a lot of them that are. So this is kind of a peek into how the human trafficking system works to me. Right. It's like I think sometimes we miss the opportunity to speak about the details of how the human trafficking works across the border. What's the purpose of the human trafficking that exists among this illegal migrant group? A portion of the illegals that are in this country. They're not all doing this, of course. But what is the purpose? Like, what was Kilmar Abrego Garcia facilitating by moving people who were here illegally across the country?
First of all, he was making money. These aliens pay a lot of money to the cartels. It's the cartels. It's the gangs like MS-13 that organize these smuggling operations. They don't do it for free. They require huge amounts of cash. In fact, the grand jury indictment says that Garcia demanded cash. That's why all of the estimates are that during the Biden administration, the Mexican drug cartels who are behind all this made more money than they've ever made before. And that's because of the Biden administration. Also, like I said, he was smuggling in illegal guns and narcotics. Again, making huge amounts of money from selling those illegal guns to other criminals and narcotics. And he was smuggling children. The Maryland father, as Senator Chris Van Hollen referred to him, he wasn't just smuggling adult male aliens, but female aliens. We don't know how many of them ended up sold into prostitution rings, but he was also smuggling children in it. In fact, the indictment says he was endangering them. Why? Because they would put the kids, the young children, on the floors under the seats of these vans and other vehicles they were using, which meant that if they had an accident, the kids would have been severely hurt or killed.
Hans, is it safe to say that aside from the fact that Abrego Garcia's legal status in this country was in jeopardy, that he was not a citizen here or a legal resident here, that is the only thing protecting him from the unified disgust and agreement on the deplorable nature of who he is as a person, his criminality, the disgusting nature of the types of things that he participated in, that if he were a citizen, that the Americans in this country, red, blue, left, right, Republican, Democrat, would come together and point at him and say, shame, put him away forever. Like, is his illegal status the only thing protecting him?
Well, it seems to be. I mean, look, this federal indictment lays it out in plain English what he was up to. But there was plenty of indications and evidence before about what he was doing. And yet you had, like I said, Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democratic senator from Maryland, go all the way to El Salvador because he was so concerned about him. Oh, and by the way, I mean, one of the things that's just kind of ironic about all of this is, Van Hollen made this big deal about the fact that Garcia's family, not just his wife, but his mother and brother, other members of his family, were very concerned about his health and safety in El Salvador. Well, you know what the indictment says? The indictment says, this is a quote, that Garcia, quote, sometimes brought close relatives with him when he picked up illegal aliens in Texas and transported them to other parts of the U.S. It doesn't say who those close relatives were, but I wonder whether the same members of his family expressing concern about him being in El Salvador, were they involved in this smuggling of illegal aliens? Were they on these trips?
Well, to wrap it up, Hans, a phrase that I continue to hear now from the left that I'm seeing from some detractors here in our conversation online that are watching the show as well. The comment is due process. Prove these charges. Are the things that you're talking about, Abrego Garcia, have those things already been proven in a court?
No, I mean, this is federal grand jury testimony. And, yeah, he will have an opportunity to prove himself innocent in any criminal case. But if you read the federal indictment, there were 6 co-conspirators in this conspiracy with him, and they clearly have gotten testimony from other members of MS-13 who were involved in this, and they clearly have a lot of criminal evidence about what he was doing. So, yeah, he's innocent until proven guilty, but anybody who still thinks that he's some innocent father, I suggest you read the federal grand jury indictment.
Well, Hans, we appreciate you. Thank you for getting us the details on this. And I'm going to encourage people, direct them to the Daily Signal, where you write an article entitled Maryland Father Indicted for Smuggling Drugs, Weapons, Illegals, and Kids. It's the details that matter, and we appreciate you bringing them to us today, Hans. Good to talk to you again.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye. I'm just emotional reaction, in full disclosure. I'm annoyed by the leftists who are like, due process, prove the charges, when they were running roughshod over Donald Trump because they knew that they could publicly participate in character assassination because they could hurt him politically, when the amount of time, money, and effort invested from the left in this country to deceive the American people on completely bogus allegations and charges towards the man who is now the president of the United States. Sit down. You take your due process in a room and privately do whatever you want with it. But I just can't.
Yes. And it's also, even on this issue, the last administration ignored the law for 4 years. And now the people who supported those people are saying, well, you have to follow the law.
Yeah.
Come on, give us a freaking break.
The no one is above the law people are the same. This is a peaceful protest. These people just have feelings. Shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Makes me crazy. Wiggins America?
How to tell people to screw off without saying those words.
In an email.
Mostly in an email. This is like a professional environment.
You said how to tell not people.
How to tell a coworker.
Feeling attacked.
But you could tell anybody at work these things, or maybe somebody's saying it to you, and I want to make sure you're picking up on the hint.
Ethan, I'm going to need a pallet of those projectiles right here to my right for the next segment, please.
Ethan is not in an NGO.
Oh.
He told me.
That's what he's supposed to say.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Wiggins America on the Annie Fry Show. And in the 1 o'clock hour, we have Tyrus at 1:05 and our friend Andy McCarthy as well. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Dittamore Group online at thedittamore.com. You're looking to sell your home, and maybe it's just kind of a thought that you have lingering in the back of your mind. Maybe you went on vacation to Florida, and you're like, why am I not living in Florida? I don't want you to leave here. Maybe you were in Florida and you came to Illinois, and you're like, I'd really love to live here. Is there one of you? There's got to, if there is, the Dittamore Group is there to guide you through that purchase because, listen, they know the market. They understand fair, equitable prices. They know how to position you if you're selling your home in Missouri, in Illinois, to make sure that you are getting a great, great price on your home. They can help compare notes from other available homes in the area, places that have sold recently, maybe ones that haven't sold, why they haven't sold. They know all of this. They understand the communities, the school districts, the shopping districts, the walkability, whatever is important to you. They already know this because the Dittamore Group does this full time. They have 50 plus years of experience in being the very best at helping you buy and sell real estate in the bi-state region. You can call them directly at 618-531-4652, 618-531-4652, or hit them up online at thedittamore.com.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With TrueHold, you can sell your home for its current value so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. TrueHold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since TrueHold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit TrueHold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours. Based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
Hey, St. Louis! Mers Goodwill is proud to sponsor the St. Louis City Match on June 14th, and we want you to be a part of the excitement. This is more than just a match, it's a day of giving back. Bring your new or gently used clothing and household items to donate at designated drop-off zones outside Energizer Park between 12:30 and 3 p.m. Join us for the City and Goodwill Donation Drive on June 14th. Give hope, give local, give goodwill.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough money to retire? Well, you can find out how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You will learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing your Social Security income, paying for health care, all of it. And there's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. Now, there are a handful of openings for the classes this month and next. Just register by calling 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012. It's the Sue Thomas number, 314-947-2012.
I'm Ultima Morgan. Every year, almost 30,000 babies in America are born with birth injuries. It's every parent's worst nightmare. If your child suffered a birth injury, please call our firm to find out if we can help.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
If it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? Yes or no? That's today's YouTube live chat poll. Let us know what you think about this topic. We open the show talking about it. We'd like to hear from you. 1248, this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Friday, the Chesterfield Mall is gone, but downtown Chesterfield is on its way. We'll talk to developer Michael Steinberg at 8:35.
The Mark Cox Morning Show, weekdays from 5 to 9, right here on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Wiggins. Oh, Wiggins.
Well, I'm going to interrupt real quick here. Ethan, you said you got a text from Mr. Reardon?
I did, yes. He's on his way in right now, and he told me that 44 westbound is shut down near Arsenal. At least a 1 mile stretch of it completely shut down on 44
Westbound?
due to a fatal accident. He said there was 12 or 13 cop cars right around there at the site of the accident. So obviously, prayers to whoever's
Prayers
been
to that
affected,
family,
but
yeah.
also keep an eye, maybe avoid that area if you're on the roads.
Hate to hear that. I remember being stuck in really bad traffic and like really making it about me one time. I don't think I was married at the time. And then I discovered the cause of that. And I was like, I'm never gonna worry about being late again.
Well, it does affect you though. So it's not something that, there's a lot of people that get affected by. Did you say
Sure.
it was eastbound?
Westbound.
44? Westbound
Yeah.
at Arsenal, 44?
All right. Wiggins America?
Wiggins America, these are ways to tell people to screw off without actually saying that. So it's a little more polite. Most of these you'd find in emails, although some of them you might find in a meeting. Here's the first one.
Only the good meetings.
And these really are ways that if you hear them, I think you probably are like feeling a little attacked when this is in an email to you. As per my last email.
No, I don't want to see that. And I've probably written it.
Have you? I was going to say, that was
yeah.
the next question. Have you ever written it?
Let me just say, if I've written it, I've done everything else that I can think of to like flashing lights, song and dance to get the point across.
Mm-hmm.
As per my last email is listen, lady, or listen, mister.
A lot of this is from a viral video, so I'm going to play the sound as to what as per my last email means.
Let's just imagine it.
1. As per my last email. Translation, you didn't read it, did you? And now I'm pissed because you're making me repeat myself.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Accurate. Okay. This one's similar. To reiterate.
Well, going back to
2.
as per,
To
I
reiterate
played it.
means I'm not telling you again. Sort it out.
going back to the last one, and maybe to reiterate, I don't. It's kind of the same thing. It's a different way of saying the same thing. But he just said that as per my last email means you didn't read it, and now I'm ticked off. I'm not saying as per my last email unless the other person has invited attitude into the conversation.
So it definitely is an escalation, though. When you say as per my last email.
Well, it would be an escalation, but I'm saying I will meet your escalation.
Right. You're not the first one to bring it up a notch.
No, not at work for sure.
She's not throwing the first punch.
No, but I won't
she's
back
throwing
down
haymakers
from it.
following.
Amen to that.
And
Don't
these
start
are
it. You can end it.
You can finish it with
In the
as per
form
my
of
last email.
addressing
Hey,
someone
can I just
via
get a
email.
request to turn this show off on the in-house PA system right now?
Yeah, if you're in the bathroom, I'd
Love you. You're my favorite coworker.
Maybe we apologize, but maybe also this is for you. I don't know.
To reiterate.
Hopefully it's not Julie Tristan.
No, she knows.
Why are we picking on this
Everybody
woman?
loves Julie
She's
Tristan.
wonderful.
the nicest person
She's
in the building.
The most lovable person here. Just like the most radiant smile. And she has the entire backing of the St. Louis Fire Department, so I'm not screwing with that.
All right, the third one is, I'll ask you what you think this means. On the email, I've CC'd so-and-so.
Yeah.
So you've added somebody else to the email.
Supervision. Go on.
Is that, you think? You're just like, I want to bring in somebody?
It's accountability and supervision. Whatever you're about to do next is not just between us.
Here's what the expert
Oh,
says.
man.
3. I've CC'd someone. That's I'm not playing anymore. I'm collecting witnesses.
Yeah.
I just CC'd Ethan on a couple emails this morning.
Well, that's because you went the haymaker in the chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
were these to Annie?
No,
CC'd
no,
with
no,
Ethan?
no. These were to my bookers, the people that I book people through, so that
Your
Ethan
bookies?
can book people while I'm gone.
It's
It's
he's
more
gotta
of an
gamble
amateur.
That's not a
It's
coworker.
different, yeah.
That's not a coworker.
That's true.
This is people who you're dealing with on a regular basis, and you have a singular common goal that you're discussing. That's not like if you're talking to a client and you're like, okay, I've CC'd our administrative assistant who's going to process your order.
it's just
Thank you
moving
for
it
the
along.
bazillion dollars
Yeah,
in business.
I feel like it's kind of like a covering your back, right? Covering your X's and O's. Like, okay,
Yeah.
like this person knows now, like it's not on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for your input.
Is that it?
What does that
I
mean?
doesn't always. I could see saying that, but it depends. Did I ask for it, or is it unsolicited?
I don't know.
It's hard to figure out how it's being taken over an email because there isn't the body language.
Well, everybody
in
just
an
takes it in the
email.
worst possible way.
That's true.
I just said to my husband last night. No, it's not bad.
Thanks for your input.
I said I was doing voice to text, but I hurt my hip last night, and I was hitting baseballs, and
Right. Tips don't lie.
yes, they didn't lie, and I feel old. It's the God's honest truth. But I was voice to texting. I was stretching, and I was voice to texting something to my son. But I was saying it like this, and I go, "Wouldn't it be fun if AI could take your voice to text and just insert emojis that expressed your tone,
Like wincing.
just whatever your tone was? If you were like happy-go-lucky, there were like AI-approved happy-go-lucky. If you were being sarcastic." You could just voice to text.
Ooh, I kind of like this.
I know.
idea.
And then the emoji would just convey tone, which is what everybody uses emojis to cover up expressed or inferred tone.
I thought you were saying that that's the message that you were sending via voice message to your son.
No.
Wouldn't it be fun if AI?
No. I was saying,
He's like, why is she texting me
what
about AI?
time did Dad tell you to go to bed? I'm in the middle of a Fortnite game, Mom.
Thanks for your input! Exclamation point is different than just thanks for your input, correct?
Yeah.
All right, here's what
Jerk.
the expert says.
That would be bad, yeah.
4. Thanks for your input. Corporate for literally no one asked. Mate, now get back in your box.
Which is why I said, did I request some
a
sort
good question.
of feedback?
It's a good
I
question.
feel like you'd say appreciate the input rather than thanks for it if you actually meant it.
Yeah.
I think
maybe.
appreciate's a little more
You know, the
intentional.
more formal it is, the more of an a-hole
Yeah,
you kind of
that's
sound
a
like,
good
right?
point.
How about this one? It's kind of harkening back to the first couple, too. As a reminder.
That's kind of, yeah, that's like the first thing.
Same thing. It seems a little less harsh than
Yeah,
as
not as
per my
aggressive.
last email, but here's the expert.
5. As a reminder, really means you forgot. Again, and I'm done babysitting you.
But if okay, so say maybe Ryan is off on Friday. We could, I mean, we don't get emails, but we would get we DM in a group here.
Mm-hmm.
Brad might say, hey, as a reminder, Ryan is off on Friday. Do you want me to book this instead? Because normally we wouldn't do that on Friday. So that's different.
Yeah, that's not being a jerk. Or as a reminder, we're doing Ask Me Anything today.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And
Stuff like
just,
that.
I mean, it just goes to show that everything is up for interpretation.
Context.
Yes.
Number 6, respectfully. And then fill in the blank after that with anything.
I feel like saying respectfully
with
is
all
your
due respect.
excuse to say whatever disrespectful thing you want after.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Respectfully, I'm going to be disrespectful.
I don't think it's always that way. I think that with my boss Steve, that if he said something to me in an email, that I could say respectfully and disagree with him, and he would know that I was giving my opinion, but that I still respect the fact that he's the boss.
But respectfully does always precede a disagreement, right? I mean, that's almost the point of the word.
Respectfully,
you
I
look
agree.
great today.
Respectfully, that was great. Good job today.
You could say respectfully, I agree, but that implies that you disagree with somebody else who has been CC'd as a witness in the email.
There
Well,
you
now
go.
we're getting multiple ones.
6. Respectfully. Yeah, no respect here. Just sit the down.
Possibly. All right, let's take a quick break. Tyrus and Andy McCarthy in the 1 o'clock hour, plus you on the YouTube live chat. That military parade, let us know what you think. AirComfortService.com. I was letting the dog out the backyard this morning, and I looked at my AC unit, and there was a leaf that was stuck in the top, and you could just kind of hear it flapping in there. And I looked at it, and I'm like, do I need to do a maintenance check on my air conditioner? Air Comfort Service put in our new AC unit. Air Comfort Service put in our furnace. Air Comfort Service put in our water heater. Air Comfort Service did an AeroSeal duct sealing on our home. I trust Air Comfort Service with everything HVAC in my house. They are the best. They're also wonderful people. They're not going to take advantage of you. They're going to be honest with you. And I was looking at that thing thinking, oh, that's making a noise it shouldn't be making. And I was like, gosh, Maybe I need to get Air Comfort Service out to the house to do a maintenance check, which is what I talk to you about all the time. When you sign up for their service provider plan, you are going to be able to get those checks at a routine pace. They're going to remind you to do it, and you're going to avoid costly repairs. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Ramped up tensions in the Middle East. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump says Israel could soon take military action against Iran's nuclear program.
President Trump says Israeli strikes targeting Iran may not be imminent.
But it looks like it's something that could very well happen.
The State Department has pulled some personnel from Middle East embassies and is providing voluntary evacuations for military family members. Still, the president says he's hopeful conflict will be avoided with a new nuclear deal negotiated between the U.S. and Iran.
Iran's going to have to negotiate a little bit tougher, meaning they're going to have to give us some things that they're not willing to give us right now.
President Trump reiterated Iran cannot develop a nuclear weapon. A sixth round of talks are set for Sunday in Oman.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Meantime, Iran just announcing it will activate a third nuclear enrichment facility after the UN's nuclear watchdog censured Iran for failing to comply with non-proliferation obligations. The president's comments coming at a bill signing event where he rolled back California's efforts to phase out gas-powered vehicles and keep stricter emission standards. The national rules. A legal fight is expected. Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem is in L.A. defending immigration raids.
Our HSI and ICE individuals have been out conducting operations with our government partners to make sure that these criminals, bad actors, murderers, rapists, pedophiles, traffickers, and drug traffickers are brought in and brought to justice finally under this administration.
Protests over the raids have spread around the country, with Democrats accusing the president of mass deportations without due process. A former Missouri Congressman, Billy Long, just winning Senate confirmation to be the next IRS commissioner. Long once sponsored legislation to abolish the IRS. Confirmation was a party line vote. Democrats concerned in part about his ties to a firm that distributed a pandemic-era tax credit. America's listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Things are pretty quiet and on the warm side going through our Thursday afternoon, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Let's top it out around 87, 88 degrees. Tonight, cloudy skies come bubbling back in. They're in place most of the night, 70. On Friday, scattered showers, a couple of non-severe thunderstorms, 84. Same story on Saturday. Sunday, partly sunny, a couple of spotty showers, and 85. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Andrea's Restaurant is in Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Illinois. Highly suggest you visit the restaurant. You will not regret it. I was just told by a coworker, his name is Ethan. I'm outing him on the air that he just had Andrea's barbecue sauce for the first time. Where were you?
At my home.
Oh, did you buy it?
It was the Christmas one you
got
that
for
I
me.
got. I finally
you.
was able to open it up, and it was delicious.
It's fantastic. I said before that I was nervous when the barbecue sauce was coming out from Andrea's because I love sauces, and it was new. And I was like, oh, no, I hope it's really good. And it's actually like my favorite. It's tied for my favorite barbecue sauce I've ever had. So get all the sauces. Like I said, there are multiples. There's the steak sauce. You can get that really anywhere. You got to hunt a little bit more for the barbecue sauce and the salad dressing, which Brad apparently is a big
Yeah,
thumbs
my
up
wife
on.
just grabbed that and loves it.
The salad dressing?
Yes.
So they're all three great. You can get them all at Andreas.com, though. They have like a gift set that you can grab all three of them. I go to the restaurant to get all of them, too. So all that, everything I just said, and Brad and Ethan said, at Andreas.com.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
Tony La Russa here. Has your loss of energy and weight gain thrown you a curveball in your relationship? If so, go see my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Discreet first-class professionals will help you hit those curves out of the park. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
The local police, he should talk to the people that he's had deployed there, and he has a responsibility in all of this. He started this. There should be no violence. He should not continue to support violence. They should not be edged on and, provoked in any way, and that's what the President of the United States is doing, to exert his power and to show that he's in charge and to show that he's going to get the numbers that he promised to get people deported.
When you listen to Maxine Waters talking about the rioters in, California, where she's from, of course, but really anywhere that they're starting to engage in this unrest. Everybody is saying this on X for sure, but they're talking about they need a martyr. Imagine engaging in all of this specifically for the intent of getting a name of a martyr. They don't know who the name is. What does it mean to be a martyr? That means that somebody's life is going to be sacrificed for what? For what? Are they really working to make sure is the point of Maxine Waters is what she really wants, the outcome that she's pursuing, really to be so that these people get to stay in the country? Does she care about these people? What she cares about is their presence in the country for the political power that will come downstream, whether it be the census or whether it be a potential path to citizenship, which is not likely under this iteration of government, but who knows what's going to happen in the midterms next year and plus 2028. We don't know. We know nothing. There is no way that in, say, 2019, you would be able to predict what the next 8 years look like. And if somebody said, here's what's going to happen, you'd be like, not a chance. No possible way. So, everyone's like, oh, J.D. Vance, 48. They call him 48. Folks, we know nothing. And if you if you make those types of assumptions, you're gonna have blind spots. They're gonna cost you greatly. But the Maxine Waters of the world, when she's on CNN there and she's talking about these riders, I can't help but think about these riders as petulant children. Especially when we know, there's so many TikTok videos that end up being placed on X, because I don't have TikTok. I want to have TikTok, but I'm not going to have it. I've never downloaded it. I've never used it. I want to have it, but I don't want to be any more in China's hand than I probably already am with other things that I use. But I want to play some of these videos that are coming off of TikTok, but they're all laced with profanity, and I can't do it. And if I bleep them out, then the bleeping becomes the story, because there's so many words. There are influencers on TikTok that are coming out and talking about how they were reached out to, offered $200 a day to go protest. This is what you'll do. This is where you can go. This is what we'll need from you. And some of these influencers are like, I don't want to participate in this. I need money, but I'm not taking $200 to participate in this. What the Democrat Party is investing in, and that is really the answer that I want the most. How do these protests come together? How are they funded? We talked with Molly Hemingway yesterday. What was it? BioShield or something like that? Whatever it was, they were showing on Fox News some of these riders, and there's a guy who had his trunk popped open. It was like a Mazda 5 or something. I don't know.
Who knows? Something like that, maybe.
Something like that. Real manly.
Yeah, that's manly. I thought you were going to make fun of it.
No. I wouldn't.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was like some sort of hatchback car or whatever, and they're lifting out these brand new boxes. They're not small boxes. They're individually wrapped face masks, and I'm thinking to myself, those are not cheap. These are expensive pieces of protection that are being taken out of this car. They're being delivered to this location. The guy's opening the boxes, pulling out these BioShield face mask shields or whatever, and I was like, I'm Googling that, and it was $65 a pop. Well, that's not cheap. You can't go into a riot where you've got maybe, 100 people? Maybe hundreds in some places, maybe not quite that much. Sometimes these things look really massive on TV, and then if you take the wide shot, it's like they are causing a lot of problems on this block. Did you see did I show you, did you guys see the video of the protest in St. Louis? It was across the street from Union Station.
I heard about it, but I haven't seen the video.
I mean, I've been at, I guess you would, I don't know, it was the Walk for Life. I emceed the Walk for Life, not this year. I was, I had a prior commitment and I couldn't MC it this year, but I did it last year. And we had about the same amount of people on a Saturday morning for the Walk for Life. So I'm not going to say, I'm not going to look at that protest and be like, that is not a lot of people. But I do know that other people would look at our March for Life protest and be like, oh, you're not exactly swarming the streets, are you? I mean, in downtown St. Louis, you get a few hundred people down there. Take it for what you will. But what was taking place in St. Louis yesterday, they didn't burn the city down yesterday. I was here at 97.1 during the Michael Brown aftermath, the Ferguson aftermath. People were burning the city down. I was very gracious to have the opportunity to come in and do Sunday nights with Mark Cox when he had a Sunday night show. And we were scared in some instances to come down. There were times where my boss said, don't come downtown. Just stay home. Because the unrest is significant. We haven't seen that in St. Louis. I have no confidence that we won't. These are paid agitators. Don't you look? And I'm like, when do you have time to show up and do this type of activity with such commitment? Of course, I have a very different set of facts that exist with my life, but I'm like, what if you get arrested? That's the goal. That's the situation where you are going out there, you're trying to disrupt, you're trying to sow chaos, you're probably intending to vandalize, you're trying to threaten law enforcement, is this country in a position right now where they are going to suffer the fools who want to look at law enforcement and treat them this way? We are way past that.
I don't know, and I genuinely do not understand. You open with the Maxine Waters clip. Gavin Newsom saying the same thing. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass is saying, I think Adam Schiff's getting in on the action. The message is, it's like the memo went out.
Don't ever say that again.
What's that?
Adam Schiff.
Adam Schiff getting in on the action? Too bad.
Shame on you. Go sit in the corner.
That's out there now. The message that they're repeating is the guy sending in law enforcement wants riots. I genuinely do not get how you're getting there. So, yes, there's riots. They're acknowledging that now because that's a step forward.
But they're saying there are riots because Trump made a move.
But they're only riots because the guy who's saying he's for law and order is sending in more law enforcement to decrease riots. I really, what alternate universe could that be?
The one they've been living in this whole time, which another part of the conversation I had yesterday with Molly Hemingway was in the past, you had collusion. We're very familiar with that word if you've been around with following the Trump time in political office for a while. You had collusion between the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C., we call it the swamp, and the media, which was hand in hand with the swamp. They'd create a story and a narrative, and then it's a loop. We had the dossier P-tape thing that nobody would touch except for BuzzFeed. What they needed was somebody to throw the story out there. They just needed the story to be entered into the ether so that people could say, sources say, reports indicate. And then it's like a swarm of bees. All of a sudden, there's all of this mayhem, and everybody is looking around, and it's sensational. And then you have the bureaucracy, the elected officials participating in its sustenance. You have them going on to news outlets and saying, like, well, if this is true, if the president is working with Russia, but the people are being spoon-fed things that make them emotionally erratic, and it becomes a story. The bureaucracy needs the media, and the media needs the bureaucracy. And Donald Trump is the orange Kool-Aid man who walked in and broke through and left a Donald Trump-sized hole in the building so everybody would always remember that he was there. Disrupt, break down, rebuild. That's what Donald Trump has been trying to do. And when it doesn't work, they riot. They've done this multiple times. We know this story. I always like the venture over to see, well, how does Florida handle a situation like this?
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
So I hear that and I think, gosh, Ron DeSantis is like, run him over. Now, of course, he's saying that if you're feeling threatened, if they are approaching you, if they are putting themselves in your space and you feel threatened, you have the right to remove yourself from that situation. And if they've put themselves in your path, that's on them. In a simpler sense, like I said earlier, like when I think about these protesters as like teenagers, rebellious teenagers, sometimes they just need a cause to rebel. They just want to know what the status quo is so that they can know what their rebellion is going to look like. You insert the status quo and then they're like, okay, now this is what we're going to do. When we grew up in the 80s and then creeping into the 90s, everything was colorful and loud and blah, blah, blah. So what happened? Black, grunge.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Sadness. It's whatever the opposite is. Now, it's like the more colorful that you can present yourself. I mean, it's just like, what is mainstream? We are going to be the opposite. These are emotionally driven people. They function on emotion, which is why there are so many people who are on our side of the aisle that pull their hair out trying to figure out why these people can't listen to reason, because they're not even hearing reason, let alone paying attention to it. You can't rationalize with irrational people. And it's a waste of time, and I am giving none of my energy over to these over-emotional, petulant morons who are overtaking our streets, treating our law enforcement the way they're treating them. You don't get any of my energy. You don't get any of my sympathy. You have put yourself in a position, just like Ron DeSantis has said, they've put themselves in a position to FAFO. And it's a crude acronym. I understand that. The reason why that acronym is so used right now is because we have spent so much time letting the teenager feel, letting the teenager express themselves. And if they're expressing themselves in a way that seems a little outside of the boundaries to the point where it might be dangerous, detrimental, harmful, we have been told for so long to don't interfere. You let them be who they are. We can't, as a civilized society, allow this type of disruption, this type of violence, this type of chaos to exist in our streets and leave it be as some, like, these are people who they just want to be heard. Knock the fudge brownie off.
You know, it's funny. It was one of the random days that I was filling in over the last 2 months or whatever, and Jonathan Kite was in, the comedian, and I was talking to him about his friend Thomas Lennon. If you don't know who Thomas Lennon is, he played Lieutenant Jay Dangle on the police parody show. I can't remember the name of it right now. You know what I'm talking about.
Which one? Like
I don't know
the Brooklyn Nine-Nine or
not Brooklyn Nine-Nine? It's the police parody
Police Squad?
show. No. I should have had the name of it ready to go. But anyway.
Super Troopers?
No. Somebody put it in the chat. Police parody show. I'll come up with the name of it. It's like Cops, but it's fake. Anyway, he wears the really short shorts on that show, and his name is Lieutenant Jay Dangle.
Reno 911.
Reno 911, thank you. That guy came out just recently and said exactly what you just said, which is funny because I don't think they're like right-wing at all. But he goes, when I was a kid, we used to have people that would just constantly, grown-ups, just tell us constantly, knock it off.
Yes.
Just knock it off. And all he was saying in that whole clip is, where have the grown-ups gone that just tell kids, stop being an idiot?
The Oval Office. Yeah. He's back in the Oval Office. And there's no more of this, wringing your hands over the political ramifications of telling a marginalized group, rioters? To tell them, knock it off. Knock it off. And Donald Trump passively says knock it off, where he puts action behind his words, which is the opposite of what politicians do. They try to do as little as possible, but use words to make you think they've done the most that is possible. Donald Trump is the inverse, and it makes them crazy. Now listen to me. This entire segment that I've been talking about these rioters in the streets, you could check my work here. I don't think I said illegal immigrant one time. We have two situations happening right now in this country. We have an illegal immigrant problem that was manifested by our own American government, our own abdicating American government, who did not enforce the laws that were on the books. That's what Donald Trump came in. He said, do the thing. It's there. Do the thing. We created a situation for ourselves that is a huge problem. And it's going to be difficult as a country to watch how we get onto the other side of this massive hill that we have to climb and comb through. Right now, what we see is this administration, they're trying to get thieves and rapists and murderers and gangbangers out of the country. Who disagrees with that? Pay attention, folks. Who disagrees with that? So much so that the Democrats, again, no action, all words, want to take Abrego Garcia and all of the actions that are in that grand jury testimony and why he's going back to Nashville, Tennessee. If you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to our conversation with Hans von Spakovsky at 1225. All of that set aside, pay no attention to the facts behind the curtain. Maryland, father. Since when do you give a crap? I almost said the other word. About fathers. Leftists. Your main platform is to eliminate the responsibility of fathers and replace fathers with government, which is reliance on you. I kind of understand the power trip. It just seems evil to me. Everything that they're doing right now is to shift the focus away from who this administration is actually trying to deport right now. And you're not supposed to be able to talk about the rioters. If you insult the rioters, what the Democrat Party is trying to do and is successfully doing to emotionally reactive people is they're trying to say the words that you criticize those rioters with, those words apply to illegal immigrants in our country. Even those whose only crime is coming across the border without documentation and through our system. Is it a crime? Yes. What do we do with those people? We'll wait and see. But the political value here for the Democrat Party is to make the rioters be as awful as possible so that folks like me or other people who are in my position come out and criticize the rioters, and then they take our words about these jerks that are in the streets tearing apart our cities and assaulting our law enforcement. They try to take that and make it apply to the illegal immigrants that are in our country. Because that's politics. That's not real. That's not actually helping anyone. We got to take a super quick break. We'll be back in like 30 seconds with Andy McCarthy, who is going to talk to us about the president's reaction to the siege in Los Angeles. And here in St. Louis, we're no stranger to what this looks like. We hope it doesn't come here. Don't go away. Andy McCarthy on the Andy Fry Show next.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Let's just face it, right? Your home should work for you, not against you. Hi, it's Kim, and if you've been dreaming of a new kitchen, bathroom, or a finished basement, now's the time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. They're St. Louis's trusted experts in turning houses into dream homes. Just imagine this, a spa-like bathroom, maybe a chef-inspired kitchen, or how about a cozy basement perfect for some movie nights? Their team handles everything from design to installation so you can just sit back and enjoy the process. Visit lakesidearty.com today to start your dream renovation.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
She just wants to be beautiful, she goes.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
No limits, she craves. Attention, she praises. An image.
Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
By the sculptor. Oh, she don't see the light that's shining deeper than the eyes
the
can
state of California's request to stop Trump from using the California National Guard to keep the peace and keep order during these protests.
Jake Tapper there reporting on, Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump sure seem to disagree on how to handle these riots in Los Angeles. And Newsom's telling Trump to mind his business and do his job, which seems like what Trump is telling Newsom as well. Who has legal authority here and responsibility, I might add, to stop these riots from ruining our American great cities? Let's talk to our friend Andy McCarthy, contributing editor at National Review, host of the McCarthy Report, and a Fox News contributor. Andy McCarthy, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us today.
Annie, nice to be with you.
I appreciate your time. I want to ask you just, whose responsibility is it to keep Los Angeles safe? We've got a mayor, we've got a governor, we've got a president all involved. They all seem to have a little bit differing opinions. Who's not doing their job and whose responsibility to get it safe?
Well, it kind of springs from why you have the unrest. I mean, in theory, if the state lost control of its ability to police street safety, the federal government could come in, and in that scenario, usually the governor would ask the president to come in if the state is simply overwhelmed. Here, you have a unique situation in that the cause of all this is the enforcement of federal immigration law. And California has purported basically to be a sanctuary jurisdiction where they don't enforce the federal law. The courts have held for a century plus that immigration enforcement is a plenary responsibility of the federal government, which means the state can help the federal government enforce the law, but it can't impede the federal government. And if the unrest is caused by the fact that the state is essentially obstructing the federal government from enforcing the laws, then the president has unquestioned authority both to protect federal functions, that is the execution of federal law. There's no doubt that immigration falls in that category, and also to protect federal personnel and federal facilities. So in this instance, there's no question. I wouldn't want to opine that there would be no circumstance under which a governor would not be in the right telling the president to back off because the state had it handled. But here, the whole problem goes back to the state's interference with the execution of what is undoubtedly a federal responsibility.
Well, Andy, I live in the state of Illinois, so we have a provision in our state that says that local law enforcement is not to cooperate with ICE if you arrest somebody and they have an immigration status that becomes known. You're not supposed to tip off ICE. I mean, it really does create kind of a hot box of tension in these locations where it almost seems as though the criminals can play off law enforcement with one another. There's a lot of dissatisfaction with law enforcement officials who feel like they're putting their lives on the line to do a job that at the end doesn't materialize in, maybe a prosecution in some jurisdictions or actual jail time. These people get back out on the streets. It seems as though our system is set up we could prosecute criminals, but we don't end up keeping them in a place where they can't harm law-abiding citizens. Illinois, California certainly are two places where we've seen a lot of that. Is what's happening in Los Angeles a product of those political policies that have been put into place due to sanctuary state status?
Yeah, they are. The thing I always try to remind myself, Annie, because this isn't to me, this isn't intuitive. To me, it's common sense that you should want the laws enforced. And you would think that most people in the public want the laws enforced, since that's how we have, rule of law, flourishing society, civil peace, and the like. But, these politicians who put these sanctuary policies in, they didn't spontaneously appear. They're elected. So in some instances, we have to admit, those of us who want to see the laws enforced, that the people have voted for these guys who don't want to enforce the laws. Now, the fact that they have decided that they don't want to enforce the laws has terrible consequences. Well, it has terrible consequences no matter what. But, I mean, it's got awful consequences when you're talking about the enforcement of state law. So, for example, you have very high crime in Chicago. I'm just talking about, ordinary crime. Right. You have it in L.A. You have it in New York. There's not much the feds can do if the states won't enforce state law, because most criminal law is state law. But when you're talking about things that the federal government has jurisdiction over, narcotics trafficking, illegal gun trafficking, immigration enforcement, the federal government does not need the state's permission to come in and enforce those laws. It gets to enforce them. And while the state, these sanctuary policies, the state can't be commandeered to enforce federal law. Like, the feds can't make them enforce federal law, can't make them help them, but they're not allowed to obstruct. If they obstruct, that's a crime. just the same way as if anyone else obstructed the federal execution of immigration law, which is why, for example, this Democratic congresswoman in New Jersey, LaMonica MacGyver, has just been indicted in New Jersey for interfering with the enforcement of federal immigration law. So, if they want to turn their own laws into, parchment promises that don't actually get enforced, that's their business, but they can't interfere with the enforcement of federal law.
Former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney, contributing editor at National Review, and Fox News contributor Andy McCarthy with us right now. I think that the confusion that exists, I don't know, the legal system is so complicated to people who don't practice law. Most people try to live their whole lives never having to learn it. You don't ever want to have to learn all the vocabulary that goes along with trying to comb through all of this. But, the president he said today at the White House when he was taking questions, he said that, what took place, I think he was referring to Minneapolis at the time. Back then, the waiting that he allowed to happen before taking action or sending in the National Guard or whatever it was, he said he wasn't going to do that this time. Do you feel as though the president's action in sending in the National Guard into Los Angeles was timely?
Yeah, all we have to do is look at the footage that we saw. We had things on fire. We had police being attacked. We had federal facilities being attacked. And I must say, to hear Democrats complain about this is, to me, mind-boggling, since, I again am not making apologies for the Capitol riot. I condemned it at the time. I thought it was it's atrocious. I feel like every time we mention it, I have to say that. But, by comparison, that was a 3.5-hour riot where such minimal damage was done to the facility that Congress was actually able to reconvene that night. And notwithstanding what the Democrats say again and again, no security forces lost their lives in that event. There were about 140 who were seriously, or some of them were seriously injured, but there were 140 who were injured. And obviously, I have no tolerance for anyone who assaults a cop. I'd prosecute those people and throw the key away. But we're talking about, when we're talking about that 3.5-hour riot, the Democrats called that an insurrection, and they had the Justice Department prosecute 1,600 people, including hundreds of people who would never ordinarily be prosecuted by the Justice Department because they were only involved in peaceful protest and only committed misdemeanors at most, which the Justice Department ordinarily doesn't prosecute. Compare that, and I think this is what Trump is getting at. The post-George Floyd riots went on for months in this country. They were lethal. There was stuff that was burnt down. There were buildings that were destroyed. There were people that were killed, including law enforcement people. I think what makes ordinary Americans upset is the idea that we have a two-tiered justice system.
Yes.
And particularly when it comes to politically motivated violence, you are pursued with the wrath of God by this government, or it turns a blind eye to you, depending on, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, or depending on whether, right-thinking lefty opinion thinks the thing that you're agitated about is worthy or unworthy. And I don't think people want that. What people want is one set of rules for everybody, and for the government to condemn all politically motivated violence, whether it's motivated by what's perceived to be a right-wing cause or a left-wing cause.
Yeah, right on point. Andy McCarthy with us right now. You and I have had many conversations about, lawfare, what the Biden administration did against Donald Trump. You were very open and objective as to the different cases that were being brought against him, the ones that you thought had a little bit more merit and the ones that were obviously lawfare. I'm curious of your assessment of the Trump administration and the legal pursuits that they have taken. These riots are supposed to be a reaction to deportations of people who are here illegally. I feel as though the president's gone after criminals as of this point. But do you feel as though the Trump administration has played it pretty straight, has been objective in their legal pursuits, or do you feel as though there's any revenge lawfare taking place right now with the Trump administration?
Well, I think the overarching policy to revive the enforcement of the federal immigration laws is essential. So to the extent that they've made that paramount, I think they're right to do that. I think they've done a lot of things wrong in the way that they have gone about it. I think they're right to prioritize criminal aliens. They're not only right because from a national security perspective, that's the right thing to do. I think they also would want to be understood by the public as not doing what the opposition is claiming they're doing, which is like, looking for the most sympathetic illegal aliens who aren't actually harassing anyone and for the most part are just going about trying to work and that sort of stuff. Not that they're illegally in the country too, but you want to make a priority of the most important cases, and that way, if you handle that responsibly, I think you have more leeway to do more. Plus, I think the administration has to recognize that the resources that the federal government has to devote to immigration enforcement are finite. For example, we have 20 million illegal aliens in this country. Congress has provided 46,700 detention spaces. So, if you do the math, you couldn't conceivably get rid of every single illegal alien in the country if you wanted to. And I don't think people want to live in a country where you would do the things that you have to do in order to get rid of 20 million people. What you have to do is reverse their incentive to stay. So to me, if I were the Trump Justice Department, I'd be going after the criminal aliens as they've done. But I'd also be going after employers and businesses that hire illegal aliens, not going in and sweeping up, people who are going to be sympathetic and the media is going to use as, to try to portray the administration as evil or insane. Go after the people who are doing the hiring, because if those jobs dry up, then people are going to say, there's no economic future for me here, I should leave. And that's the way that you're eventually going to get the immigration population down to something manageable. One last thing I would say on this, Annie, is that, for many years after 9/11, we became very terrorism-oriented.
Yes.
And the danger for that with law enforcement is terrorism is a thing that has to be stopped, because one terrorist attack could be catastrophic and thousands of people could be killed. So you have to take the approach in law enforcement as we can't allow this to happen. But with other kinds of crime, that's not the approach that we take in this country. You manage crime. You don't try to completely eradicate it. You don't have the resources to completely eradicate ordinary crime. And no one would want to live in a country where the government did the kind of things it would have to do to prosecute every single petty crime that gets committed. Illegal immigration should be a manageable criminal problem, not one that you have to completely eradicate. The problem here is that for 20 years, the government didn't enforce the laws.
Yes.
And as a result, we have, a terrible problem, and Trump is trying to address it. But let's not forget that it's not terrorism. You have to remember, it's an ordinary law problem, and you want to manage it, but you don't want to look like you've lost touch with reality and that you have to go after every single person.
Real quickly, before we let you go, as a constitutional expert that you are, I want to know your thoughts. There's a No Kings rally taking place across the country, which is it's indicating that they believe that Donald Trump thinks he's a king. Is there anything in your expertise of Donald Trump's second term here that makes you believe he's acting as though he's a king?
Well, look, he has an approach to governance where he wants to exercise sweeping authority. I don't think he's trying to amass sweeping authority. I think, to the contrary, he realizes he's only going to be president for 4 years, even though we have this tongue-in-cheek stuff about the third term, which I think he says only because it gets a rise out of his political
it's
opposition.
too easy.
But
yeah.
but I don't think I think what Trump realizes is he's a one-term president. One-term president's the second-term president. You got basically 2 years to get stuff done, and then we're on to like the 2028 sweepstakes, right? And he's got Congress is so divided he can't get a lot of legislation through. We haven't even had the one major big beautiful thing go through yet, right? So the only way he's going to be able to make big policy changes that he wants to make, even temporarily, is to use whatever sweep of executive authority is available to him to do that. And most of that stuff in statutory law is triggered by emergencies. So he's tried to say, he needs to impose tariffs because trade imbalances are an emergency. And he wants to say we need to send all the Venezuelans back because there's an invasion, and I've invoked the Alien Enemies Act. I think he's going to end up on the wrong end of those cases when they get to court and he has lost a number of these cases because those things are not, whatever you think of them, they're not, life and death emergencies that allow a president to come in and wield vast powers. So I think to that extent, I understand why people are criticizing him, but I think the reason the left calls him a king is they think it works. They're trying to set up they're trying to set up their 2028, they're trying to set up the 2026 midterms and the 2028 argument against whoever is going to be the nominee to say that, the Republicans are authoritarians, and if you want democracy, you should vote for Democrats. That's, I don't think people are going to be taken in by that, but what do I know? I'm not I just work here.
Well, we know that you know quite a bit, a lot more about all of this legal stuff than we do, and we're always grateful for your time. Andy McCarthy, thank you for being with us here today. It's good to have you.
Thanks so much, Annie.
Take care. Bye-bye. It's kind of funny to listen to him explain the no kings thing. Basically, what I hear him saying is the president is trying to use the full breadth of his presidential authority. I just think that would make him super presidential, don't you? Not necessarily a king, but I guess if it works to get people out. Oh, and $200 a pop per day. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Ryan Wiggins back in studio with us. If it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? It's supposed to happen this weekend. We need your votes on the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll right now. We got 207 votes in. Why don't we have yours? Find Annie Fry, F-R-E-Y, on YouTube. Pull up our live broadcast, and in the live chat of our live broadcast, you can vote in the poll and support the military parade, or say, nah, this is not for me. Leave a comment in the YouTube comments. We might read yours next. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
The Retirement Advisory Group online at retirementkey.com. Make sure that you visit their website to learn everything you need to know about them, or you can just take my word for it and call them and schedule an appointment to sit down and have a talk about your retirement. 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494. You can sit down with Bob and Tammy Kershaw, with Thomas Helbig. They work on both sides of the river, folks. So don't forget, if you're in Illinois, that I'm talking to you as well. 314-993-9494. Set up a meeting and discuss your retirement. 59 and a half is a magical age. Once you turn that, you can have this world open to you about ways that you can protect yourself moving into retirement. Make sure that you protect your savings. Do you need to know what the secrets are? It's just a phone call away. And you have this discussion. This meeting costs you nothing. At the end, you can be like, all right, that was good to know. I'm done here. And you could just move on. Or you can do what most people do and say, tell me more. How do we work together? 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket wait list at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-948-7878. That's 800-948-7878. 800-948-7878.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
The Diamond Shop, 20% off all watches, even Movado, 40% off all men's in-stock jewelry, plus 40% off all pearl jewelry and in-stock wedding bands. Continues until June 28th. 10% VIP, extra 10% off purchase. Not valid for watches through the month of June.
If it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? Yes or no? Anxious to see how this one turns out. I would figure it would be yes, but I don't know for sure. YouTube live chat poll. Let us know what you think about this question about the military parade. It is 1:52. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Freedom 13 remembers the heroes that made the ultimate sacrifice by supporting the veterans still with us. You can make a difference with just $13 a month. It's June for Jared in honor of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. Learn more at 971talk.com/talkinaction.
You want me to talk? Okay. I just go. I took a big breath to talk, and then Brad did an eyebrow thing.
What, was he surprised that you took a big breath?
No. I thought he was going to play that big talky guy.
No, big talky guy did
If
not
big
talk
talky guy was going to say something right now, what would he say?
He would say,
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Oh, in case you were wondering. I wish we would have played somebody else's name. Gosh, I always have to avoid talking about behind the scenes stuff. about things that are happening and everything, it's like the biggest temptation I have to just spill my guts.
Look, you got, 3 minutes here.
Mm-hmm.
Indulge yourself.
We're going to 57 this time.
4 minutes.
Ethan, come here.
Ethan, come here.
Ethan!
Is he paying attention to our show right now?
So. Yeah, he's coming.
He has dual
He looks
responsibilities.
kind of annoyed, though.
Well, I know he is.
Oh,
He's probably on the
he
phone.
Just kicked that door.
Probably
Did the
on
Kramer door open?
phone with that guy again.
Are we doing that here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we took phone calls at the beginning of the show for the YouTube live chat poll. We might do that in the 2 o'clock hour. If it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? And so we were taking calls. Ethan took calls. How'd that go?
It went great. Went great.
First call you took?
Besides the first call I took.
Was it the first call you took?
Yes. In fact, actually, you know what? I would say it was my favorite call. As much as I love all of you that actually were, contributing and adding things to the show.
Oh, no, this person contributed.
Yes, that is true.
Here we
Technically
are.
true. So I answer, as I recall here, I answer the phone, ask if there's anything, any thoughts on military parades, which is what we were taking calls on. He goes, no, I'd actually have something to add to the show as far as a contribution, maybe a thought, something to help you guys out. I was like, oh, okay, what's up? Let me hear it. He goes, well, it's actually kind of a negative thought. I was like, okay.
Let us have it.
And he goes, well, I've been listening for a long time. Annie's great. She does a really good job. But her minions, the supporting cast, the boys, she's like, they're terrible. They don't add anything. They think that they're funny, and there's nothing of substance that they provide to the show. And I'm like, so you're talking about like Ryan, Brad, and Ethan? He's like, yes, those three. They're just terrible. I was like, okay. And I was like, well, this is Ethan, and we thank you for the call. And then he says, yeah, you guys all do terrible. And I was like, all right, thank you. And then I hung up.
Yeah.
I thought it was very funny.
We're in a moment in time on the show where we're getting a lot of feedback.
Ryan, how do you respond to that?
That particular call I take personally, and you know why? Because I think it was personal. I think that attack in particular was directed at all of us.
What gave that away?
But really, me, thinks he's funny. That sounds like me. And I blur the lines.
Wait, Ryan, do you think you're funny?
At times.
Do you have your moments?
I used to.
Yeah, before that guy. And I blur the lines between professional and personal because I don't have much of a line that I put up between myself and the public.
You're saying there is no professional.
What
with
I
you.
say on the air pretty much is exactly the same way I am off the air.
That's facts. Can I add something to the it sounds like he was flattering to me and the opposite to you guys. I think he complimented me specifically to be rude to the whole show. I think it was a contrast.
Did he like the substance from the 4 days that I hosted?
He didn't say.
You should have asked that.
You're right.
Well,
And he said I should have asked specifically about Ethan.
Yeah.
What about Ethan?
What about Ethan really sucks?
You know what? I don't know if I agree entirely on Ryan and Brad, but that Ethan guy, he sucks. What do you think about him? That's what I should have done.
If I were taking the calls and I were in your position, I totally would have done that.
No,
I'd have
I'm
had it. I would probably still be talking to him. I'd be like, "Is your name Steve?" Because if it's not, I don't care. So here's what I need. We've taken a little bit of a gut punch, but we're out there. We're public figures. We can handle it.
We're limping
The
along.
show? Are you kidding me?
You're fine.
No.
And he's never received a criticism.
Give me
in
another
her
minute.
life.
I'm not done yet.
Uh-oh.
What? Get over here and let me show you my
I gotta
emails.
go.
Yeah, there are all sorts of things that people hate about me. Trust me, I could list them for you. But I think that we should spend the rest of the 2 o'clock hour reading other people's thoughts about the contributors to the show that are in this room, Brad, Ethan, and Ryan. You can give us your honest assessment of how you feel about what they do, especially considering the fact that they just took you through a week and a half of me being able to spend some time with my family. They are an incredibly important part of this show. The show doesn't happen without them. I am an advocate for them on air and certainly off air. And I think that the people should be able to react in conjunction with this, and maybe we'll open the phones in the 2 o'clock hour to take poll questions, and you could talk to some more people.
That would really lift my spirits.
Well, you assume. It could be all negative.
Uh-oh.
It's not going to be all negative.
What if he calls again? I'm scared, Ryan.
Annie Fry YouTube channel. Go vote in the YouTube poll. And come on, lift their spirits. They deserve it. They're great. It's all on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. You can also stream on the Odyssey app as well. 24 hours a day, 97.1 FM Talk. Crystal clear right there. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house, and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years. Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO. Easy to remember phone number. Or go online today at 877-25-RHINO.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A heated moment in Los Angeles. Lisa Brady, Fox News, as the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem defends immigration raids.
Operations that have been working to bring in criminals that have been out on our streets for far too long.
Democrats argue most deportees have not been convicted of any crimes. Noem's briefing interrupted by California Senator Alex Padilla.
The matter is a half a dozen violent criminals.
He was quickly removed by federal agents.
Heads off.
The California governor calls the senator's treatment outrageous and shameful. Noem later had a meeting with the senator, whose office says he is not currently detained. The president's military response to riots in L.A. facing a test in court as a judge holds a hearing on California's emergency request to block troops from being used for immigration enforcement. California is also expected to challenge a rollback of its electric vehicle mandate and emission standards. President Trump signing congressional resolutions he says will save the auto industry and be good for dealerships.
Yeah, they're going to do better than ever before. They're going to sell cars in America at levels that they've never even thought of before. And they're going to make more money than they ever made before. It's going to be great. They're going to be selling a better car, too. It's going to be a better product.
California wants to phase out gas-powered vehicles. The sex crimes retrial of Harvey Weinstein in New York ends with a mistrial on a rape charge, a day after the jury convicted him of one sex act count and acquitted him of another. The jury foreperson refusing to continue deliberations on the remaining charge today after reporting he felt bullied. Defense attorney Arthur Adalo plans to appeal the conviction, claiming juror misconduct.
Not just relying on what we saw in the courtroom, what you all saw in the courtroom about a juror saying he's being so intimidated, he refused to go back into the deliberating room. None of us have ever heard of that.
Weinstein could face another retrial, though, on the remaining rape charge. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Things are pretty quiet and on the warm side going through our Thursday afternoon, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Let's top it out around 87, 88 degrees. Tonight, cloudy skies come bubbling back in. They're in place most of the night, 70. On Friday, scattered showers, a couple of non-severe thunderstorms, 84. Same story on Saturday, Sunday, partly sunny, a couple of spotty showers, and 85. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Infinite Vitality, my new friends at Infinite Vitality. I'm working through testing with them, and it's just like pulls the curtains back so that you can learn about yourself. It's so important to go to infinite-vitality.com and learn about what they can do for you, how they can give you your energy back. I mean, is it too much of a stretch to say how it can give you your life back? Because that's really what I'm feeling right now. So I have engaged in, did a panel to learn about my hormones. Where are my hormone levels? I'm 41, so I'm in my 40s now. I've had 4 babies. It wreaks havoc on your body to go through that process. And at the end, ladies, you understand this. Men that are listening, you've probably heard the women in your life talk about it. It's like, it kind of sometimes feels like, okay, this is what's left. After you've done everything you can, this is what's left. And you just that's not really like a fun place to be mentally. And from a physical standpoint, you've lost your energy, you've lost your libido, you're going to the gym and you're working and you feel like you're not getting anything out of it. It doesn't have to be that way. You can go get a test. You can have factual biological data that explains this is why you're experiencing this. This is why you feel like that. This is why you're working your tail off and you're not seeing anything for it. And Infinite Vitality can give you solutions after they give you answers that are based on data. That's what I did, and I'm engaged in hormone replacement therapy with them. If you go to Infinite Vitality, online at infinite-vitality.com, and you mention Annie, you're going to get a $50 credit towards hormone replacement therapy or weight loss services. They can help you with all of that. Don't think that this is how it has to be, because it's not. I'm experiencing that myself right now. 618-486-1888, 618-486-1888, infinite-vitality.com.
Taco to go, taco to, and a big Q. Taco to go, taco to go. Quick Trip taco just $2.99. Comes with a big Q, this deal so fine. Brisket breakfast, so much to choose for $2.99. You really can't lose. Taco to go, taco to. This deal legit. Taco to go, taco. Only at Quick Trip. Taco to go, taco to go, taco to go. $2.99 to go.
Cash for Clunkers is back. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards a new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Cash in your old entry door too. It's Cash for Clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Convenient, free, in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
Mark Cox here. Let me introduce you to my friends at the Lit Cigar Lounge in St. Louis, where luxury meets comfort. Premium hand-rolled cigars, an extensive selection of rare bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails. It's comfortable for non-smokers, too. They have a state-of-the-art ventilation system. They have private lockers and live music every Friday night, perfect for date nights or business meetings or just winding down. Visit litstl.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
So the YouTube poll for today, this Saturday, we're going to have a parade, a military parade to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday, to celebrate our active duty military members, to celebrate veterans. And it's Flag Day. It's the Army's 250th birthday. And some people don't think that that's really what we should be doing is a parade. We asked this question at the beginning of the show at 12 o'clock. We're going to do that right now. If you want to call in and have a discussion about this, if you want to weigh in as to whether or not we should have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military, if it were up to you, would you do it or wouldn't you do it? 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797. Give us a call. And maybe we'll sprinkle in some phone calls here in this first segment. I asked Ryan at the beginning of the show what he thought, and you were apprehensive. What about you, Brad?
I would be, on this poll, a very enthusiastic yes. I would definitely do this. There's no apprehension on it at all. I know that, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I would make sure that the perception is a celebration, not like a flex or show of power. It's not a compensation thing. It's a celebration of the men and women who have signed up voluntarily. Our entire military is a volunteer force right now. Yes, we've had the draft.
How'd you say right now?
Well, we've had the draft in the past.
Okay.
But right now, it's a volunteer force. Everybody that is in uniform right now did it because they thought this was something they wanted to do. They didn't have to do it. I'm super grateful for everybody who served, who gave of their lives and their times, both, those who have passed away and those who are just putting their lives in service for basically our freedom. When you boil it all down, everything that we have is because of them. I have no problem with celebrating them. I have no problem with showing off the cool toys or weapons and the stuff that we have as a military. I think that that's really cool. I think that there's a very positive aspect to it for further recruitment. I'd love to keep our military volunteer on a volunteer basis. I'd love for them to keep meeting their recruiting goals. And why not show off the stuff that A, we're paying for, and B, is really the best stuff in the world. Let's just have a good time. Let's celebrate it. Give these soldiers flags. We don't have to have them marching and goose stepping and stuff like that. We can demonstrate that in certain areas, but the whole parade shouldn't be that.
Ryan thinks you're wrong.
Well, I don't completely disagree with you, as Annie just set up. I think she was walking me into something.
Just wait for one of those radio moments. We'll do something average instead. Let me ask you this question. I will rephrase. Because you said, like me, that there's a part of this that kind of makes you go, Have you been persuaded? Every single caller said, heck yeah, do this. And a lot of them spoke from being in the service, veterans of the service, or family members of people who are in the service. And they said, yes, we should absolutely do this. Has any of that persuaded you to be more okay with it? Brad's eloquent explanation?
Not Brad. I have been more persuaded by the callers, though. When we first started the show, I was apprehensive about the whole thing. I'm still a little bit, just because the only imagery I've ever seen from a military parade is Russia, China, North Korea, the old like World War II footage of these usually Axis parades,
soldiers goose stepping
and
down.
And you're like, it's just that if that's what it is, it's a little strange. It doesn't have to be that. I don't know that it will be that.
I don't think it
will. But then
will.
hearing people call in that first segment, very much on the fence. So they kind of push me over the fence to say, no, this actually could be really cool and something that inspires you to just be in love with what we have, for the people who serve, for the might that we've been given in the earth. If I see that, it could be something that really, because I'm such a softie. I'll go ahead and plug my July 4th music for fireworks thing, because I just love patriotic things. I just love them. And when something hits me right in the heart, which this might, I'll cry over it. I just love that stuff. I just hope this is that.
Do you think it wouldn't be?
I think it has the potential to not be.
How? What does it look like if it's bad?
If it can be. Look, we live in a world where the mainstream media still exists. They could frame this to
not much. It's on live support.
It is, but it's still there. They could frame this to look really bad. They will frame this to look bad.
They already are. That's the only reason we're having this conversation.
So, and they're complaining about the cost and things, and I don't know, the amount of things that we've wasted.
They are now
Look, we've
fiscally
spent more money
responsible.
on Stacey Abrams ovens than this military parade. That's a fact. But so let's get over that. But the fact that this, the ovens that she's buying for that one county in Georgia for $2 billion.
I don't think she even had ovens. I think she was just like
she was
saying,
just messaging about the ovens.
"Hey guys, got an idea?"
But it could look strange, and it probably will because it'll be framed that way. But so that's my apprehension. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
What does it look like if it's awesome?
We're all cheering, and we got a new quarter that's the sesquicentennial instead of a bicentennial. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to celebrate the 250th.
Getting a new quarter?
I hope so. I'm just saying. I'm kind of floating that out there. There's a lot of reasons to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America. This is a big way to do it, and that's one of the things the callers said that I agree with. That, hey, this only comes around once every 250 years or so.
Yeah.
So you might as well go big. And Trump has a propensity to go big. This is his kind of thing. This is also the kind of thing that going into it, we've already seen the whole 4 years of this. Going into it, Trump will say, I'm going to do this thing. And you go, and then he does it, and you go, that was actually pretty freaking cool.
Well, and to say this, there is nothing that we have discussed here that they haven't already thought of. He's got a great team around him.
Let's take some phone calls here. Eric has called the Annie Fry Show. What do you think, if it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? What do you think, Eric?
I would be cautious against it. I'm for supporting the military, and I voted for Donald Trump. But he tried to do this in 2018, and the Pentagon thought it'd look too partisan. I really think it's important that our military stays apolitical. And if they do it, I don't want them to give a political speech. That looks bad. So I support the military, and I'm not worried about the money because we spend it on a lot of other things. We can find some money for that. And the last thing I'll say is I enjoy Ethan. All right?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Is this Ethan? Eric, thank you for the phone call. I appreciate you.
Eric Hannaford.
Eric Hannaford. Is Trump going to speak?
That's a good question. That's another point that I have not thought of that he just brought up.
It's not partisan to support the military.
No, it's not. But if Trump speaks at it, it could be.
Yes.
And that's a good point.
What we should do is we should have Donald Trump and Kamala Harris speak at it.
Okay. I think I'm okay with that.
I think it's a win-win. Kurt, thank you for calling the Annie Fry Show. Your thoughts on the military parade in D.C.?
Yeah, 100%. 100% we should have it. Everything Ryan said earlier was spot on.
Oh, boy.
And here's the thing, talking about partisan, I mean, the only reason this is even a discussion is because of partisanship right now.
Yes.
The left doesn't want it because they think it's a celebration of Trump's birthday, Donald Trump, blah, blah, blah. I mean, as you said, this is a celebration of 250 years. 250 years of the Army. The fact that America has to, feel bad about itself anymore, I mean, that's what we're fighting. I mean, Americans should be proud.
Yes.
And they should celebrate this.
Amen.
And the fact that it's even remotely controversial is part of this larger battle that we are fighting right now. And it's 100%. We're in power right now, the Republicans, yes, take advantage of that time and celebrate America, celebrate 250 years of the greatest nation on earth.
Kurt, amen to that, except for the Ryan Wiggins was spot on part.
I love every part of that.
Concerned about that part.
Even if I set apart the part where he praised me, I still think he's making good points. That this is part of the cultural battle of being proud of America. That's a good point to make, too.
Mm-hmm. Rosemary, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. Do you support the military parade in D.C.?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so happy that he's doing this and that he is bringing light to our military and our men. We don't give enough support to our men in America at all. I mean, it's all about women, it seems, and I am a woman, but I don't like the way men are being treated in our country, and especially the men in military and policemen and our firemen. I mean, putting their lives on the line is the most unbelievable thing. And we don't care enough. We really need to take heart about what they do for us. And I'm so thankful for all they do. And my father was in the military, and I support the military. I pray for them every day. I pray for them all. And I'm so thankful. And then I wanted to say one other thing. I love the Manny Fry Show, and I clear my schedule so I can hear what's going on because they make me laugh.
There you go.
They bring happiness to my day, and I love you, Annie, but sometimes you just need to have, I don't know, a man's viewpoint.
Yes. Yes. Sometimes we need to make space for them.
Yeah. And you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I had the most wonderful husband, and I've lost him. And I just want all women to think how hard your life could be when you don't have your husband, you don't have a man to support you, because men do wonderful things in our country. I just want to leave it there.
Rosemary, wonderful words. Thank you for calling the show. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. She's lovely.
Rosemary, I love you. I love you, Rosemary. Thank you. Thank you for that call.
Is your sugar level going up right now?
Yeah,
Do you
it
need
is.
to check your blood sugar? Tom, thank you for calling the Annie Fry Show. Your thoughts on the military parade. Should there be a parade in D.C. this weekend?
I'm sorry, this is the Annie Fry Show? I thought it was the Manny Fry Show.
No, it's
Did I
I'm
get
back.
the wrong number?
I'm back. Yes.
You can still talk to us, though.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. We need that parade. I just feel that we should put a little spin on it. I think we should move it up about 5 days, or I'm sorry, move it back about 5 days, and let's do a parade for everybody instead of this Juneteenth parade that just is kind of covering a small population. And also it looks like they are trying to make it a holiday and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, it's a holiday. It's a federal holiday.
Oh, well, that's not a good idea, in my opinion. So I think we just need to get back to basics. And you guys are doing a great job on the radio. I really appreciate it.
Tom, thank you for listening to the Annie Fry Show and the Manny Fry Show. The Juneteenth thing, I'll push back just a little bit on that. The Juneteenth story is actually a culmination of one of the most amazing things this country has ever done in shedding our own blood to end the wrong that was slavery. And Juneteenth is the acknowledgement of how long it took for all of the people who were enslaved to find out that they'd been freed. That's the history of it. Now, what it's politically turned into in 2023, 24, 25, different story, debatable, of course. But I think when people start paying attention to what Juneteenth actually is, it's actually an American story that speaks to the point of what we did in this country to end something that existed everywhere else in the world. We didn't create slavery. We imported it. Yeah, that's enough on that. Last call before we take a break here. Michael, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. If it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military this weekend?
Annie, I would say we absolutely need that. Quick note, I served 25 years in, and, the guys and girls that are in, they know what June 14th is. It's the anniversary of the founding of the Continental Army. And so the history of that is number one, we only have a 250th birthday. This has nothing to do with Trump. Obviously, he is facilitating it, making sure it happens. But this is about the soldiers. And too often we put the spotlight on the politicians and all of that. But this is an American thing. This is for all of us, whether I agree with your point of view politically or ethnically or whatever. It's for Americans, and this is something that helps launch us and be the catalyst for what we are now. So take the spotlight off the president, put it on the soldiers where it belongs.
Well, Michael, I appreciate that. And thank you very much for your service, the decades that you spent in the military. We're really grateful for you.
Well, I'm grateful for you guys. Put the truth out there.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's easy. I guess it's easy, and I think he's absolutely spot on to say put the emphasis on the military, on the soldiers, on the people who are serving and the people who have served, those who are active duty and the veterans. Well, that's probably what Donald Trump's trying to do. But the politics behind his detractors saying, oh, this is just about Trump. Who's using the military now?
The thing about, this is just Trump wanting to celebrate his birthday. Come on. You know how many birthdays this guy had? Like, this is the one that he goes, I think I'm going to celebrate my birthday now.
Do you remember when Joe Biden was president and he was turning like 11 or something like that? And it was like, they were like, don't talk about it.
Right.
We're not going to acknowledge it. We're just going to kind of let it. I think it was over Thanksgiving. It's in late November. And I think that year it was conveniently over the holiday. And they're like,
he's in Delaware.
Again.
Asleep.
Newsflash, he's in D.C. Who knew he knew where it was? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Father's Day question for the crew here. A little Miss Manners. We're going to dip into Miss Manners and find out if we can solve this dilemma about a father and what is supposed to happen on Father's Day. Stick around. We'll be right back on The Annie Fry Show.
This is The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
CiviaLaw.com, Illinois, Missouri alike. They've got 7 locations across the bi-state to serve you and make sure that you have the help, the aid, the comfort that you need through life's transitions. And the best way to do this is to anticipate rather than to react. If you're in a position where you have to react, that's where you are. But if you are in that position where you can anticipate what is to come, to prepare, you call Civia Law today, right now. The first 10 listeners who call right after I get done talking here are going to get a free strategy session. 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL. This is your opportunity to sit down and discuss your will, your trust, your power of attorney, whether you are looking to work with a very complicated situation, a real estate situation that might need some legal expertise. This is Civia Law's expertise. They know how to anticipate your questions, provide you with answers, and ask the questions that you haven't even thought of yet. They are wonderful at what they do. I have worked with them for our trust with my husband. If you've got dependents, if you've got property, if you've got assets, you need to protect yourself, your significant other, your dependents, your children from that nasty probate process that's going to cost you so much time and money. 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, CiviaLaw.com.
Hey, St. Louis! MERS Goodwill is proud to sponsor the St. Louis City Match on June 14th, and we want you to be a part of the excitement. This is more than just a match, it's a day of giving back. Bring your new or gently used clothing and household items to donate at designated drop-off zones outside Energizer Park between 12:30 and 3 p.m. Join us for the City and Goodwill Donation Drive on June 14th. Give hope, give local, give goodwill.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
Hi, this is Tammy Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw.
As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you are nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online to retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review, and we'll teach you the strategy that has helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 39 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
I'm Emma Greed, and I've spent the last 20 years building, running, and investing in some incredible businesses. The more success I've had, the more people started coming to me with questions. How do you start a business? How do you raise money? How do I bounce back from failure? On my new podcast, Aspire with Emma Greed, I'll be answering these questions and more through weekly conversations with the smartest minds out there. Listen to and follow Aspire with Emma Greed, an Odyssey podcast, available now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Spring into a new home with amazing savings at TR Hughes. Hi, I'm Jason Hughes with TR Hughes Homes, and we are currently offering half off up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs on brand new to-be-built homes at select TR Hughes communities. That's right, half up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs. Visit trhughes.com for details.
The choice of a home builder is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
However, you really should visit trhughes.com.
Join the choruses of Harmony STL for Acapella Live Broadway, Saturday, June 14th at the Two Hill Performing Arts Center. Don't miss out on this acapella extravaganza with one show only at 2 p.m. Hear the incredible 5-time international champion Ambassadors of Harmony alongside the Recruits and Visions of Harmony. Tickets are selling fast, so get yours today at harmonystl.com or call 314-516-4949. Acapella Live Broadway, Saturday, June 14th at the Two Hill.
Get ready, St. Louis. The Cubs are coming to town. June 23rd through the 26th. The Cardinals host baseball's best rivalry at Busch Stadium in a series that always delivers. The Chicago STL rivalry is legendary, and the energy in the ballpark will be electric. It's the perfect way to spend a summer day or night at the ballpark with passionate fans and nonstop action. Don't miss out. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com/tickets.
Hey, this is Sonny Gray, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Catch a Cardinals game on your next date night or friends night out. Whether it's love in the stands or laughter with your crew, nothing beats ballpark vibes under the lights. Cold drinks, great eats, and Cardinals baseball. Check out Friday Night Live at Busch Stadium and enjoy happy hour price food and drinks all game long. Every Friday home game. Get your tickets today at Cardinals.com and make memories that go beyond the scoreboard. Busch Stadium, where great nights begin.
You know, I always said for years to save my number in your phone so you don't forget. And here's why. Today, I was calling the office. So I mentioned the office number. Probably have said it, not to exaggerate, over 1,000 times. I called the office today and I dialed the wrong number. When it connected, it said number not in order, not in use, whatever they say that. Now I am freaking out. I'm a very small business owner, and that's my lifeline. Very long story to try to make it shorter. And if Andrew can do this, I'm producing it. That's why I say save the number in your phone. Save it under Bart. That's with a B. You can save it under air conditioning, that's with an A, or whatever helps you remember, because if your memory is like mine, it's easy to forget. 314-293-2600. That's Bart with a B.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health From Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health From Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill, or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand.
Well, we went to break, and Ryan's like, "Are we doing Annie? Are you okay here?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Thursday." I'm still kind of out of sorts. How long does it take you to get back? Do you like to take those midweek comeback vacations?
I do, but to answer your question, almost instantly.
You're back?
Yeah, when I come back, I am
on.
Boom, I'm on. It does no ramp up period.
Yeah, that's definitely what happened when you came back from Japan.
Wow, it seems like he may not mean that sincerely.
He sounds sarcastic.
Oh man!
Do you not remember?
I was on a 14-hour jet lag. I still came in
but you were losing your mind.
I was.
It was like you were like.
Did I exploit it?
Oh, 100%.
I'm proud.
Yeah, you exploit everything.
I do not.
You do.
No,
If my blood sugar's a little low, you're like, whoa, here we go.
But you act like you're kind of diabetic.
I am kind of diabetic.
No, you are diabetic.
I'm kind of.
That's how someone becomes really bad diabetic.
That is.
You're not taking it
Unless
seriously.
they're me. I am taking it seriously, kind of.
I've completely cut back the amount of oatmeal cream pies I feed you in the middle of the show to make the show better.
That's why I regret telling you I was diabetic.
Yeah, right. Like I need that occupational hazard. Anywho, it's Thursday, so we're going to do Annie, Are You Okay? With Ethan here in just a second, rather than Trisha. And after that, when we come back at about 2:45, I'm going to read you this Father's Day story. There is a conflict, and I need to know what you guys would advise for this family to do. They've got what do you do for Father's Day? It's such a different holiday than Mother's Day, biologically, but also expectations.
Explain the biological part.
I will off the air again.
And now it's time to play Is Annie Okay With This?
Hello, Annie.
Hello, Ethan.
Hello.
You explain the biological
Happy
part.
I was
Thursday.
so excited to do that.
That's good. That's very Trisha-esque.
Yeah, I'm just trying to follow in the
She
boss's
says,
footsteps.
and crew. Hello, Annie and crew.
Hello, Annie and crew.
And minions.
And minions.
Hello, Annie and minions. Oh, that was beautiful. Okay, so for our first,
if you guys were minions, you wouldn't be good minions. you're too you're too autonomous,
disagreeable,
and disagreeable to be minions.
We also use real words.
Yeah,
sometimes
it depends on.
But
who
we're
talking
equally
about.
as cute.
Yeah.
I'm Kevin.
Okay, first story here.
Is that from the movie or something?
Yeah,
Okay. I didn't
Kevin
know that.
and Bob and Dave and
Seemed
Stuart.
really like a weird thing to say if you didn't. Okay, Kev. Go on, Ethan.
Kentucky man known as Cowboy Cody releases raccoon into packed restaurant in misguided revenge plot.
Oh no!
Wait, his name's Cowboy Cody?
His name is Cowboy
So
Cody.
he already has a character, and this is part of it?
I guess so.
He's not just some guy.
He left a raccoon in a restaurant, and you're like, "What's his name again?"
And
his name's Cowboy Cody.
And you look at the picture of
And
him.
yours is Kevin. Moving on.
And his real name, it says, is this is the best part. His real name is Jonathan Mason.
It's
It
not
has
even
nothing
Cody.
to do with Cody.
Is he a cowboy?
Doesn't look. He looks homeless.
Really, we should probably hear about the raccoon and then come back to the cowboy nature.
I guess so. It's a Kentucky man known as Cowboy Cody let loose a terrified raccoon in a bar out of revenge for being turned away from the establishment last Friday night, according to a police report and a bartender who witnessed the incident. Annie, are you okay with taking out revenge in any sort of way?
Am I okay with revenge?
Yes.
Biblically, no. It never feels as good as you think it does, or would.
Mm-hmm. There's whole movies based on it, though.
Yeah, they're great.
And they're good movies.
The Taken movies.
Is there a difference between revenge and avenging? Because I'm all for avenging.
If they were the same, wouldn't they be the same words?
I think they might be the same thing.
Ryan, you're just making a lot of noises.
I think they might be. I think
That's what he does during any you okay?
Cowboy Cody. I think.
No, not revenge. I think avenging is to make something right. I think revenge is just to get back at someone. I'm a big fan of avenging. Revenge, no.
What about prevenge?
What is prevenge?
Is that where you think somebody's going to do something bad, so you just go ahead and act on it.
Get after them.
There.
Right in the nick of time.
I was kind of waiting for it. Silky smooth.
I think we waited like 2 whole seconds there. Just sitting around.
Wait, I was like, this is only like my second time doing Annie Are You Okay? I was like, am I supposed to say something again before?
No, you're good.
If the bar is low, it's because of us.
Mm-hmm.
Police in South Carolina engaged in a not-so-hot pursuit as they chased a tractor excavator down a main highway for more than an hour at the speed that an average adult walks.
Yeah, you can't, what was the
It seems
offense?
like the police could do something different than just keep
I've seen
driving.
this in Warden.
Wait, seriously? Not entirely.
Only at Wardy Grove.
That would have been the most exciting thing to ever happen in Warden.
Oh, you have no idea what happens in Warden.
Well, listen, those small towns.
And if you know what happens in Warden, you don't talk about what happens in Warden.
Stays.
The chase reached speeds of 3 miles per hour on early Sunday morning in North Charleston. Officers on a different call.
Speeds.
Doesn't mean it was even up to that point, right? Officers on a different call saw the big piece of construction equipment with treads and a shovel in front go across a highway around 3:30 in the morning. A few minutes later, they got a burglary call from a business that was heavily damaged and saw the excavator slowly heading away. Police said several cars immediately joined in the very slow speed
So
pursuit.
what was the offense?
Burglary.
Of what?
Of a tractor excavator.
So they actually stole the tractor.
Yeah, they stole the tractor.
Well,
and they
you
were
know what?
making
You're not going to do something to that piece of equipment that's going to cause harm to the equipment.
Not to the equipment.
Especially if this is only a 3 mile hour situation.
But to other drivers on the road?
You got to make way for the man up on the tractor.
Also, at some point, after an hour, are you like, what are we going to do here, guys? What we're doing now isn't
Just
working.
wait for it to run out of gas.
So the driver was a 53-year-old man. Was charged with failure to stop for a blue light and 2 counts of malicious injury to real property and remained in the Charleston County Jail on a $22,000 bond. Annie, are you okay with tractors being driven on public roads?
Hell yeah!
No.
Get out. What's
No.
the matter with you?
No, they're slow.
You don't
Have
like
you ever been
food?
behind one?
You're slow, and I have to deal with you every day.
That's funny.
Yes, tractors on the road. They're not doing that to go to Hardee's.
How do you know?
Because I live in the country. I've lived in the country. They're working.
Have you ever passed a tractor and said, where are you headed?
No, I don't talk to them. I wait for them to stick their hand out the combine and tell you that it's okay to pass.
Maybe they're going to Hardee's.
There's
Why
no
Hardee's?
Hardee's out there.
I didn't bring it up. Annie did.
They're not in town.
You know what? I'll give them a pass if they're going to Hardee's because they grow the biscuits.
You don't grow biscuits. Is this your biscuit field?
I'm not a farmer,
Where do you
but
pick the biscuits from?
I think they come from fields.
What do they grow on? Are they like potatoes?
They're
where they grow
roots. They're
under the
underground,
ground?
yeah.
I always got to figure out, like, when I'm going to Effingham, how do they grow
You
those
just
giant
watch the way
windmills?
you talk about that place.
Why can't they just drive on the side of the road? Why do they have to be on the main road? That's
Or
what
go out there with the crops where you
Ethan,
belong.
Have you ever been? Okay, listen. I
I'm
know
from
you travel. I
Bethalto.
know you travel 140.
I do.
There are tractors
hate
on
it.
140.
It's
Where
so
do you want them
annoying.
to go?
In the fields?
Yeah, on the fields.
Out here in the fields.
That's
on the
different.
side of the grass.
I fought for my meals. That's what they need to do right there. The Who sang about it like 40 years ago.
When they're in the fields, they're working the fields.
That's the point. That's why they're there.
What happens if their other field is on the other side of the road?
Let's compromise. Let's give them a higher gear.
Then it would make that burglar's job easier.
Jamming
I'm
out.
okay with it once in a while.
You are opposed to tractors using the road to get
Only
from A
when
to
they
B?
get in my way. Get out of my way.
Just the roads in front of Ryan.
Man, you can contact us at anniefryshow.com, and I will read those emails on the air. Or
Jam-
just call Ethan next time we open the phone.
Read them, and I'll tell them the same thing. I got to get somewhere.
Oh, boy. Jamming out to some The Who while chomping on some biscuits from Hardee's. All right.
That you picked from the fields. I'm looking for the biscuit
Ooh,
orchard.
these are very fresh.
On to the
right
next.
past the apples.
On to
next
the-
to the peaches. It's a biscuit grove.
Walmart customer calls cops after his self-checkout avocado mishap charged $1,300.
That's a mishap.
A Walmart employee claimed a customer called the police after he, the customer, accidentally overcharged himself for avocados at the self-checkout
How many
kiosk,
avocados did he buy?
then accused the store of robbing him. As I scrolled,
I tried to buy one avocado, but I put in 2,000.
Overcharged me.
Flavin.
I think it was just one avocado, and he accidentally spammed it out. I guess the in quotations here says
Did they not agree to rectify the situation?
It seems pretty easy.
it says
He has
No, you got to pay for them now.
a bulging jacket on, and he was walking with his arms straight out.
I
He's
only
like,
tried to buy one.
I only bought one
hold on.
avocado.
It was 9.
Those are
he was
tumors.
trying to buy 9 avocados, but because it was a fruit, right? You have to put it on. I guess on the. You have to click a special button, right,
Yeah.
to that you're buying fruit. And instead of hitting 9, he hit 999.
Whoops.
That's a big whoops. $1,300 towards avocados.
Again, you just call the little, you hit the little button, and the person comes over and just swipes their card and changes it. You don't have to call the cops.
You might have to wait 48 hours for your funds to be made available.
Ooh.
Maybe
Right.
he just wasn't paying attention and he just checked out and then realized after the price. Maybe that's what it is. So anyway, Annie, are you okay with self-checkout kiosks?
Prefer them
Why?
because I'm on my time. It's
No
that
one else
simple.
has any thoughts? Ryan, any smart comment to make
I
here?
think Ryan likes him too, doesn't he?
I think we've talked about
No,
this
Ryan's
before.
going to be like, it depends on my mood.
That's correct. I sometimes like chatting with the clerk.
Ooh, I don't need to do that.
Usually, if they're having a really bad day, then it's not a lot of fun. But if they're just there,
What kind of fun do you have with the clerk?
well, I'm not having fun
Hey, old Bessie.
so much as just just a normal human interaction.
Yeah.
Gets a little dopamine going.
Does it?
Because of humans. Just enjoy the human race. And
Except for the farmers.
that's a tractor. I don't.
The tractor doesn't drive itself, actually. It does.
Yeah, but like you said, we don't interact with the person as you pass them. So there's no human interaction.
You
Just car to
certainly
car.
could. You could raise and give them the nice little farmer wave. Thanks for putting food on the table.
You could, but you don't.
I
you
do.
told me that you don't.
No, I do.
I said
you
you ever
don't.
drive
you give them
by
the finger.
I said you ever drive by them and say anything? You're like, no, never. Let them do their job.
I will give them the wave of gratitude.
Thanks for
The
what
walk.
you do. Thanks for your service.
Yes, they know.
Okay.
It's the tip of the cap from a person not wearing a cap.
Do you do the fake cap?
No, I do the wave. This is obvious.
Gosh, this is such a horrible ending to a decent segment.
As if you were like some city boy
Thank
that
you,
doesn't
Ryan.
understand the value of farmers and what they have to do.
I understand what they do, but they're in my way.
No, you're in their
when
way.
I'm driving.
You're in their way.
Go faster. Press the pedal down, my friend.
So if you go to the Odyssey app, there's a little microphone on the Odyssey app when you go to 97.1, and you can record your voice and send a message to us. And I would like anybody who wants to make a comment, like if you're a farmer and you've heard what Ryan has to say here, he says you're in his way and he doesn't appreciate you.
I did not say I don't appreciate you. I appreciate your work.
No,
Just
you
doesn't-
don't.
I
He just
appreciate-
doesn't appreciate you being on the road
I
when
just
he's
don't want you
driving.
to be on the road in front of me. And also,
So you only conveniently appreciate that.
don't you always see when you see the speed limit, there's always a minimum speed? They're breaking the law.
There's not always a minimum speed. There's
lot
a
of times
minimum
there is.
speed on the highway.
A lot of times there is, and I didn't
No,
flip them off at all.
there's
You made that up.
There's never a minimum speed when the speed limit is 45. That doesn't exist.
Sometimes there is. School zone.
Odyssey app, little record button next to the play button. Give me something, people. Give it to me. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Ruler Foods is celebrating Father's Day, and a personal invitation to you. There's a 2-day sale happening June 14th and 15th. We want to give you the opportunity to make sure that you can save on those things that are going to make your Father's Day extra special. Listen to these sizzling deals. 40-count water, just $3.99 Kroger water. A 4-count Kroger butter sticks, $2.89. A 5-pound bag of Kroger russet potatoes for just 99 cents. You can also enjoy a 3-pound roll of 80% Kroger ground beef for just $9.99. Plus, fire up that charcoal grill with a 15.4-pound bag of Kroger charcoal briquettes, only $5.99. Celebrate Dad with flavor, fun, and fantastic savings when you shop at Ruler Foods. It's simple to go online, find the Ruler Foods closest to you. Just throw your zip code in there. You'll be surprised by how many different locations there are in the bi-state. All the details at rulerfoods.com.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Tune in to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Here's a great deal for the month of June. Upgrade your backyard right now with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mention my name, Mark Cox, and you'll get 20% off your next project. That's how it works from the great company that's been around since 1968. You're going to love working with them. Fantastic installation crews. You need to go check out their showroom. It's in Chesterfield. Beautiful displays down there of their fences, their decks, their pergolas and sunrooms, the screen rooms, patios, and more. You can check out that maintenance-free decking material they have, which is absolutely beautiful, and you don't have to worry about taking care of it every couple of years. Of course, they do steel and chain link fences as well, if that's what you're looking for. Financing options are available at 0% interest, and they do free in-home estimates at no obligation to you, even free project design. Be sure and check them out today and tell them Mark Cox sent you. It's ChesterfieldFence.com.
Hi, this is Tammy Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online to retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review, and we'll teach you the strategy that has helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 39 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-414-3221. 800-414-3221. 800-414-3221.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
The Starbucks Summer Berry Refresher is officially back. Bold notes of raspberry, blueberry, and blackberry shaken with ice and poured over raspberry-flavored pearls. Try it with lemonade or coconut milk. Available for a limited time. Your Summer Berry Refresher is ready at Starbucks.
Having a tough time paying your bills? Learn how to reduce your credit card debt to a fraction of what you owe. Call the Debt Helpline now for free advice. 800-329-9912. 800-329-9912.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you're still healthy and qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
The Zoo football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-MILLION. That's 314-9-all-zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
It's 2:54. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. So we have a YouTube live chat poll today. I'm going to have to do the Father's Day story tomorrow. We'll just put a pin in that till tomorrow. The YouTube poll for today is, if it were up to you, would you have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? We're going to see that Saturday. It's been a Trump baby for a long time. He likes to celebrate America. That's a sin, according to the aggressive progressive left in our country.
I was a no at the start of the show. I think I am now a yes. I think I would like to see
You
this
said
now.
specifically that if it were done right, it could be awesome.
And I still stand by that. But just the people saying that this is an important cultural statement to say, really go America, as kind of a larger point. And if we can do that right, which I think we might be able to, it would be pretty cool.
So you're a yes?
I am now.
Ethan? Did you have a thought on this? Should we do the parade?
Yeah, I'm a yes. Big yes.
Yes?
I mean, pro-America, yeah.
Brad?
Huge yes on this. I think it's going to be great.
I'm a yes. I hope you do it well. What do you got for the results here today, Ethan?
262 votes in today's YouTube live chat poll. If it were up to you, would we have a military parade in D.C. to celebrate the military? Well, it's not really close today. 82% say yes, 18% say no. Oh, it just switched. 83%.
83% say, yeah, America. I can't wait to see what they do with it. Maybe it'll be something that we end up doing with more repetition. Maybe it's something that we're like, let's not do that again.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what the Trump administration puts together. Keep it here. Mark Reardon on 97.1 next. For that special person in your life, you need to visit the Diamond Shop. They're located in Clayton, but did you know that the Diamond Shop has been helping families find the perfect timeless jewelry right here in St. Louis since 1910. That longevity of shopping, essentially local, shopping with a family that cares about your family, getting to know your family, helping multiple people in your family. They do